Button. All right. And we are live. Welcome to the Iron Lords podcast, episode number 51. And it's another glorious Sunday, and we are back at the round table on the Lord's Day. Salute the Lord Anchorman for holding the Lords down last week in my absence, but I miss my brethren dearly. So it feels good to be back talking games once again in the realm of the Lords. We've got a very special guest, Metroid Prime 4 rumors, Unreal Engine versus Xbox One X, the future of PUBG, and the decline of fighting games to discuss. So we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a Lord who I consider one of the best young writers in the game. Similar to the ILP, this Lord was recently knighted into the Inner Circle Network. Displays a tremendous work ethic, extremely balanced viewpoints, and has always been a friend to Tick and the Round Table. Introducing the editor of TICGN.com and the Lord of Computer Science and RTS Games, the direwolf and original Geralt of Rivia, welcoming back to the realm of the Lords, my man, Lord Samuel Tolbert. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing very, very well, my lord. It is fantastic to be back here with all of you lords at the round table, and it's fantastic to make my debut as a part of the Inner Circle Gaming.
Woo! Say it again.
It's really good. Tick is on fire. We are all doing awesome. Let's get this show on the road.
Let's get it going, man. Brethren is in the building. I love it. It's Tick Fam night. No doubt. And of course, we have the four horsemen of gaming, whose usual suspects at the round table. My co-host with the co-most ain't in yet. He should be joining us in progress. But of course, we have the most technical gaming lord, the solo gamer who lives for the single player selfish experience, and also the Lord of Receipts. Mr. Offline Profile Illuminati himself, my man, Lord Sovereign. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing fantastic. Glad to have everybody back in. Glad to be here with Lord Sam. I wasn't here the first time around, so I have not had the pleasure of being on the podcast with him yet.
Using PR. That's right.
That's right. Yeah. I wasn't here, so definitely glad to have everybody back. Waiting for Addict to come to the door.
No doubt. Good to be back with the Lords. And of course, we have the Excess Gamer.
Ooh.
The Lord of Combat Sports, who is a man of his convictions, demands nothing less than the premium experience, and is the Tiki Torch Extinguisher.
Ooh.
Beloved Lord King. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic and bad at the same time. I mean, it's been a great week and it's been a terrible week. I lost two very dear people to me. One is my cousin, Brian Lorenzo Prey. Is 47 years old, too young to pass. And then I lost my binky. Ride or die, with you to the end, but what God removes, God replaces. So, in that whole thing, I bow my head at a moment of silence for them. But God put Fight Night in my soul. Man, let me tell you about Fight Night last night.
Well,
I have to say this, right? I have to say the uptick, because people used to tell you stupid stuff. You can't listen to regurgitated crap out of people's mouths, right? Because it's regurgitated crap. When they tell you that the fight game is falling off, when they tell you that boxing is at an all-time low, stop listening to them, man. Do your own thing. Yesterday we had 3 powerful fights, right? So one, we're gonna talk about our people on England over abroad. We're gonna talk about.
Let's go.
Yeah, there we go, man. They was in the building. Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Charles Rose, which is the champion. Now, in my opinion, Chris Eubank Jr. is a star, but he's being managed wrong, because a lot of times you got to cultivate these stars and you got to match them properly so they can shine. And then you give them great tests later on once they've built their confidence, once they've built their resume. his father, Chris Eubank, is his manager / promoter, and
sound like
sometimes
a Sugar Shane situation.
right, and sometimes when the daddy's so close, the daddy might have confidence in the son and don't understand that the son is not ready yet. Well, he put his son in there with the champion Charles Groves. Charles Groves is at least a foot taller than his boy, with a longer reach and a nice right hand. And what you got for the evening was a thorough jabbing of the face and a smooth right hand to the side of the head. Chris Eubank, with all his gulliness, tried to fight through it, but he lost in a decision to Charles Groves. My hat's off to Charles Groves, and listen to all the crap Eubank Jr. was talking, and proceeded to lump the side of his face up to teach him the smooth lesson that you talk with your hands and not with your mouth.
Damn.
Then we had Devin Alexander versus my man Victor Ortiz. Now, my man, I quit. Yeah, I quit Victor Ortiz.
Ain't that the dude that Floyd slapped with the bell hit and knocked him, leaned him a little bit? That's
the boy that headbutted Floyd Mayweather out of frustration and proceeded to give him dap for 4 hours. What he did yesterday with Devin Alexander, those two semi-washed up individuals, and this is what I say with semi-washed up, when you get two people, when you get two fighters at the crossroads in their lives and they're fighting for that meal ticket, you get some of the best fights, brother. And these two hungry, washed up,
like this crackhead fight.
It's kind of
it's bum fights. Bum
fights.
You do bum fights on YouTube.
It was bum fights for high stakes bum fights. And these brothers proceeded to entertain you for 10 smooth rounds of hard fighting, which I thought Devin Alexander won, but in some weird poetic justice, a draw was given because Victor Ortiz was pushing the fight. And you had some people rooting for Victor Ortiz with their heart. Like, don't give up, brother. Keep fighting. He had a swollen eye and he was in the mix. It was beautiful. But last night, the final fight, you had Danny Garcia versus Rios. Oh my God. I don't have too many man crushes. I got my man crushes.
But outside of your Lord and Savior Phil Spencer?
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like he's the only begotten son. Yeah, he's the only begotten son. So we're gonna have to keep him on a different pedal. But as we're talking about performers in these streets, Danny Garcia in this boxing ring is probably one of my favorite fighters. He is not the flashiest. He is not the best boxer. I don't know what's so special about him that I am enduring myself too, but I guess it's his Philly heart. The dude doesn't back down. He's like my dog, Sir Benjamin Johnson.
Oh yeah, I found out about Sir Benjamin Johnson last night when I came over to Lord King's house.
Listen, Sir Benjamin Johnson is not a year old yet, but Sir Benjamin Johnson will kill for the king. Let me tell you this, okay? Lord Cognito found out. I told him, do not take your hands out your pockets because he will remove your hands. Okay?
Yeah, he's the original dire wolf, Lord said.
Yes.
Dog. Oh Lord.
So last night, Danny Garcia and Rios, they were pitted against each other, and Rios is a come-at-you tank. Danny Garcia is a sharp-shooting boxer, slide to the slide, a hard-hitting counterpuncher. He hit Rios with a right hand that proceeded to remove his bodily functions from him. It short-circuited his brain with the right hand. His whole body leaned out like he faded out of the picture, like somebody removed the battery from his spine, because he was going good up until he froze him with the jab. Then the right hand came over the top. And it was over. And he tried to get up valiantly. Rios got up and he was trying to fool the ref, like, I'm good, baby. I'm good. Just let me just do this. So the ref called his bluff and said, walk to me. When he said walk to me, his legs said, what you talking about? You want to dance right now? We gonna pull his dance out right now. And he was like, nah, brother, you try. He gonna kill you. You go back in there. So last night, I was so tired yesterday, but the adrenaline kept me going for this fight game, this thing that I love, that I hope comes across, that you guys can actually hear it, and maybe y'all go check it out.
I will say this, Lord King. I did see a clip of it, and it was literally exactly how you described it. And I'm just like, he thought he was good after getting dropped. Like, he really thought, like, okay. And then the ref was like, okay, you ready? He's like, yeah. His body said, no, thank you. His body said no, and the ref, like you said, called his bluff and said, I'm going to save you from yourself. I did catch that clip. I didn't know that was the main event, but I did see it. It looked fantastic. Man.
That was one of the best short circuit punches I've ever seen, because it just stopped him dead in his tracks. And the thing is that he telegraphed it, because he was like, all right, he's getting tired. He's throwing out lazy jabs. So he throws out a lazy left jab and doesn't bring his hands back to defend himself. The right hand came right over it. Like, he telegraphed the entire thing. It was one of the cleanest right hands I've ever seen. Because he didn't hit him head on, he hit him sideways, and he leaned sideways.
It was like a soul snatcher. It was the most soul snatching punch that you could ever throw at somebody, and it was like, thank you, I'll take that soul. And oh God.
Yeah, man, I saw. I did see it. Shout out to Lord King for our combat sports recap. I believe UFC is today, right? I believe Derek Lewis. That's the only fight I want to see, because he's in the heavyweight picture, and now that the whole Stipe versus Cormier is going down, I want to see where what is this? Derek Lewis, I believe his name is. Yeah. That he's someone I've had my eye on. He's a beast. He's got to work on his weight. You know what he kind of reminds me of? King kind of reminds me of like a heavyweight young version of Rampage in his prime. You know what I mean? Just real aggressive. You might like this kid, so be on the lookout for him. He fights tonight, and I believe he's fighting a young, good contender. So I want to see where he places, because if he does well, he'll be in the mix with the Stipe and the Ngannous and
I love how Dana is working it over there. How he pits these guys against each other. There's no soft touches for anyone.
No doubt.
I mean, the main event, we got Cowboy Cerrone though versus
I like him.
Cowboy, like, I gotta give it a Cowboy. Cowboy will come out there. He's always going to give you a good fight, and some nights he's just not there, and he'll get stretched.
Yeah, like what he did with Showtime Pettis, my boy Showtime Pettis. Exactly. Well, shout out to Showtime when he was good. That kick, Showtime.
Exactly. He's seen better days though, but like, I think Cerrone, that's why they keep Cerrone around. Like, he's willing to fight anybody.
True.
And he's always going to give you a good fight, and he may go out in a blaze of glory, or he may flush this guy out. Madero's hits hard. He's an in-your-face type of fighter, so it should be a good fight, man.
No doubt. Yeah, looking forward to it. So, of course, it is Lord Cognito here, spreading that gaming realness on the ILP, not telling you what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. I mean, it feels good to be back, y'all. I was hurting. I was in the UK hurting.
We missed you. Anchor, I love you, bro. I love you. I'm not gonna front. Then me and Addict really, we don't pit fight. We share bobos now, so you ain't gonna be having us inside the little cage fight. You thought you was gonna have the little
gods of the arena with you too.
It wasn't gonna happen.
I want to confirm something. It's not been that King. That I've been agreeing with King, he's been agreeing with me. So we got to confirm that right now. Me agreeing with anyone.
Addict is saying he doesn't subscribe to the love. It just happens to happen.
It just happens to happen. You know what's funny? And this is how the King brainwashing works, right? It allows somebody to believe that I'm doing the initiation, but technically it's not true. But it is this, though. A lot of times he's been right. Yeah. And he didn't understand, like, before I would agree with him, because a lot of times that he was right. He just was so cantankerous, and he didn't like how right I was with him. You know, he was like, I'm over here. This is Addict's world, and I'm right over here. But he was able to allow me to share in his Addict's world, so that's why the love fest continued.
No doubt, no doubt. Shout out to Lord Addict. We got to get that popping for you. My co-host with the co-most, my brother from another mother, and the howl of the young wolf. My man, Lord Addict, how we doing, sir?
Pretty good. I just got off work.
Yeah. Back in the building. Did you get a chance to see any Wakanda action yet? Shout out to my boy in the chat who said Wakanda forever. I believe it was Show on W. Did you get a chance to see it yet? Or you're gonna try to see it soon?
I'm gonna try to see it this weekend.
No doubt, my man. Gotta see it, guys. And we also have to chastise Lord Anchor. I put a tweet out. You know, he did a top 15 of I believe his greatest MCU films, and unfortunately, he had the nerve to have the Winter Soldier at number 9. So effective immediately, Lords of the Multiverse Tick podcast. Wait, hold on, guy. Let me finish.
Yeah, I know, man. You gonna go in? He was going in on me yesterday.
We effectively would like to remove Anchorman from the multiverse due to his impaired judgment. He must. I was gonna say he must have been under duress in his situation when he typed.
Hey, Lord
that.
Sam, I have a feeling I want you to go over there. I think you'd be more reasonable.
Yeah, Lord Sam, we have to make a petition. Someone with a balanced perspective and viewpoint, because we really have to save Anchorman from himself.
He's due to call me sooner or later today. We got some business stuff to discuss, so don't you worry. I'll be reminding him. Don't be putting nonsense out like that. Winter Soldier at number 9.
Lord King, I know you want to chime in real quick.
Yeah, I got it. First of all, I gotta say this. I gotta say Black Panther is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life. All right, now how it may affect other people's, that's their business. Yeah. My love and my feeling for my people is so overwhelming to me. As I sat in the movie, I openly wept throughout the whole movie, to be honest with you. Powerful. I've only cried in one movie in my whole life, and that was Lion King. And
don't worry, that's the Notebook.
No. You know, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say that it's not King is soft on movie. No, nigga. I watched the Notebook. It's not that situation. But this movie affected me in a manner that I didn't expect. Yes. It's a movie that stands on its own without any superhero. It's a movie that has superhero elements. It's not a superhero movie.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's on its own. Man. Shout out to Lord Chicken Spaghetti. First time in the chat, I saw he said blasphemous. Stephen A. Smith, but that's right. We got to all band together. We got to sign this petition to save Anchorman from himself.
Okay, the Winter Soldier thing, he went in on me yesterday. We talked for at least an hour when Lord Cognito showed up, and he asked me my top Marvel movies, and he didn't like my ranking of Winter Soldier.
I'm very disgusted with you. Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
me and you will have to have a sidebar.
He didn't like the fact that I love Age of Ultron, and I love it for different reasons. God. I believe a movie is defined by the villain. All right? The motivations of each villain has to be in line with the heroes in an opposite direction. He has to have a motivation that he believes to be so pure and so right that if you look at it from his perspective, you're like, he is kind of right, though, but he's just doing it wrong. Like human genocide, because we are a cancer on this planet, is completely wrong. But he's not saying anything that's wrong. You know, so you have to say, man, I really feel for him as a sentient being becoming sentient and wanting to destroy the inferior because the dominant species always takes over. We have done it, and this is how it goes.
I get that. I get that as a villain. Like as a villain, his motivations are amazing because he fully subjects to that. He prescribes to that completely, 100%.
Right.
My thing is the movie surrounding him.
That's
all it is. That's my
and that's why it's my list. That's why it's my list. You understand? So Lord Cognito did not like where I put Winter Soldier or Civil War.
I'm gonna stop besmirching the great name of Winter. So, and I challenge y'all, because I swear y'all probably have not watched it within the last year. Rewatch that movie, because I'm telling y'all right now, I don't like Captain America. Lord Sov, Lord Kaibatsu, we was out in the parking lot with Lord Marlonius. We were all arguing at the end of this, at the end of Black Panther. Black Panther, I got to rewatch because to me, it's so impactful it's in its own thing, right? It's
Yes.
I need to rewatch. It's such a powerful movie, right? So I got to rewatch it, and then I'm gonna come back and see where Black Panther, where I put that in the grand scope of things. But Winter Soldier, y'all gonna stop besmirching that. That is nearly a flawless film. But I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna leave that for the multiverse. I'm gonna stop.
I think we all gonna have to join in on the multiverse.
Yeah, it's gonna
on
have
that
to be
one.
an Iron Lord podcast,
Invades
multiverse, exactly, collaboration, ranking of the top MCU movies, right?
Don't you love how they're volunteering me to be on another podcast a week?
Yeah, you in. You gotta watch Black
It's going to
Panther.
be an event. The Inner
It's gonna
Circle
be an
Civil
event.
War.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Fave, shout out to Undead, shout out to Mike P. The Truth, the Premium Brit, all y'all. We are coming for Anchorman's credentials for MCU films.
Shout out to Requeno, but Ragnarok is my second best film.
Oh,
so
Lord,
watch
we
your
gonna
mouth.
get into these- We gonna get into these games. Now that we got Lord Sam here, he went through our combat sports and our MCU foolishness. Let's get to Lord Sam. What have you been playing this week, Lord Sam?
Oh, good Lord. What have I not been playing this week? Let's see here. For starters, I have been playing, I mean, come on, you all know me. The X Enhanced patch for The Witcher hit, and I was like, right, bye, y'all. So I've been taking my time, enjoying that. I'm in no rush whatsoever to complete this playthrough. It's just like, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, enjoying that 60 frames, enjoying the higher res, the HDR. It's all such good stuff. Such a fantastic game, such an incredible story. CD Projekt Red, they are the devs. They're number one in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Then, I don't know how many of you read my impressions, but I've been playing quite a bit of Crytek's new game that is in closed alpha called Hunt Showdown. Now, how many of you have heard of that? How many of you know
Talk to us
about
about that.
No, talk to me.
Okay, so it was originally called Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age back in 2014, but Crytek, as we all know, went through some extreme financial problems. A lot of studios got closed, unfortunately.
Lost my goddamn Rise.
Yes, don't even remind me about Rise. Let's not go down there right now. Ugh. But Crytek, the main studio in Germany, seems to be doing a lot better. And last year at E3, I had a chance to talk to some of the developers and see a private showing for this new game that had reemerged from the closed IP. Retitled Hunt Showdown. And the basic idea is it takes place in an alternate universe, 18th, 19th century. British Empire is at its height. But there's something wrong in the world. Colonies are disappearing. There's these mysterious creatures coming out of nowhere. It's all very gothic and otherworldly, very demonic, very disturbing. So you play, it's a multiplayer.
We're playing a Mass
game.
Effect prequel, right?
No, it's not a Mass Effect prequel. It's a multiplayer game where you can go in alone or with one other friend. You load up on all your equipment beforehand, so you got to choose how many Molotov cocktails you want to take, whether you want a double-barrel shotgun, a revolver, any of that stuff. And you go in, and the job you do is you take a contract to find and kill some particular beast. It might be a giant spider the size of a barn roof. It might be this butcher with like a twisted goat head and ragged limbs attached to its back. All very disturbing, visceral stuff. And what makes it really cool is if your character dies in that match, they die for good.
Oh, so they have permadeath, almost like a State of Decay
Permadeath
kind of thing?
Permadeath, yes.
Nice.
And you maintain a roster of hunters in your employ. Referred to as your bloodline in quotation marks. And so you choose which hunter you want to take. You can actually enter the match and then decide, nah, screw this, I'm leaving. And it's perfectly valid. You can just walk right out and you can do that. And so by doing that, you choose whether or not you want to level your hunters up, who you want to retire, stuff like that. They're going to be revealing a lot more of the world building lore. So it needs more optimization. It is definitely in closed alpha right now, but I encourage you all to pay attention.
Definitely sounds like my kind of game, though.
This sounds like a definite Lord Addict. I can see you with this big time.
Here's the best way I can describe the setting is first-person Bloodborne. The first 10 minutes of Bloodborne in first person.
Wow.
That's probably the best
Now
way
you
I
get
can
me.
explain the setting.
With permadeath and the roster of wild.
I've seen some of the gameplay. The gameplay is really cool because the premise is that you get put on this map with there's multiple different teams of two.
Right.
So
and they don't tell you how many. That's the thing.
Yeah, they don't tell you how many on the map.
How many other players are out there.
Okay. This sounds really good. So this has been taking up a lot of your time now.
It has been. I put about 20 hours into the closed alpha right now. They're doing some server maintenance, and I'm waiting on a big patch. They're being very transparent. They have a roadmap of what features they're going to be adding. They're taking feedback for literally everything. They really want this to be a success. So I encourage everybody here, pay attention to it, because Crytek could be coming out back on top.
You know what's funny? You said that, Lord Sam, is that I've always actually been a fan of like the Crytek engines. Like I said, call it with my rise love. I still think that is a technological marvel. And you think about it, at that point, remember, the Xbox One X had the Kinect still taking the 10% extra resources. The SDKs were old. You know what I mean? Like it was, and for that game to look how it looked, I remember putting a tweet out. You know, I hit up everybody involved with the project, including Phil Spencer. Just like, man, I would love even there's not going to be a sequel. Man, I would love a 4K enhanced version.
I know
on the X just to see it in old, because it still hangs up now. It still holds up now, man.
CryEngine is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Not the easiest engine in the world to optimize, but it is a beautiful.
Absolutely.
Prey used it, and those shots of space with the debris floating around the station, it's breathtaking.
Absolutely.
Too bad it was wrapped around a garbage game, but
don't you get me started, King. No.
Let's say I'm gonna come for you. Don't you start.
Don't you do it.
You know, I'm gonna say this because I'm still playing through the game now, and it's a labor, but it's a labor of love in the sense that I played the first Prey and I loved it. And I'm trying to wrap myself around the game and the dramatic change in the direction and where we're going with these little dark monsters. It just felt like it was lazy when they came up with the monsters. But I'm going to keep playing because the premise of them turning into things in like ordinary things like that chandelier, it's a monster. That thing is kind of cool.
So besides the monster stuff, though, you like the immersive sim aspect of it, like the
always
X, like that's
always
to me that's the coolest part of it.
Yeah, I can touch everything. Me touching everything.
Now, shout out to Lord Chris Colbert that lead in the chat. He said, "Have our guys heard of Hunt? It's on PC. Watched it last night. It's a mix of PUBG with boss fights.
Yeah,
Red Dead and Evil Within. I've never seen it. Lord Undead, what's going on? Lord Burke, what's going on, man? Yeah, we had to come for your boy, Lord Anchorman, man. We want a multiverse collaboration. We're gonna talk about those MCU films, man. Good to see you Undead in the chat. So, Lord Addict, what have you been playing this week? I know you've been working, but what have you been playing? What have you been sneaking in?
I kind of slowed down on Monster Hunter.
Really?
I put like 80 hours into it, so I think
only 80.
Only 80, jeez.
No doubt.
Man, I can't help it. Okay, it was a good game.
I'm not
you heard him use that word was.
Just kind of burnt out, or just kind of like looking for, actually started touching something else.
There are stuff I can do afterwards. They're called Tempest fights, but it's like I don't really feel comfortable with like fighting stronger versions of the shit I'm fighting now.
So you kind of feel it's getting.
I'm like, and then Kitsme brought up the fact that I didn't play any of the big releases he bought last year, like Evil Within 2. So it's like, okay, that's fair. I'll go back and play them.
No doubt. Now I heard due to the Twitter universe that you had the Howl of the Young Wolf had to go out on your PlayStation selection. It looks like you had picked up some used PS4 games. I believe there were 3 of them, and looks like people were upset with your choice of Until Dawn being your favorite. I believe something to that effect. What's going on with that? Something happened.
I can't really go into much of that. If you want I will address these people on Planet Xbox because this is a PG-rated show.
Okay, that's true. For the children. We're doing it for the children.
I can't go into what I want to say, but I would say I'm not happy with some certain individuals on YouTube right now. But you're gonna have to go into the Planet Xbox for the real version of that because I can't really go into what I want to say.
Xbox dudes in the chat, they said The Last of Us, and they don't want to hear anything more from you.
Hold on, wait, what games did you pick up? Last.
Here we go.
Here we go.
I picked up The Last of Us, Ratchet and Clank, and The Order 1886.
Okay. What happened? What did you?
People ain't happy that I'm playing The Order over the Last of Us.
But in your defense, explain to the people your logic as to why you picked The Order first.
Because it's 8 hours versus like 12.
Exactly.
Okay.
Makes sense.
You want to blaze that out, and then you can get to what you need to get to.
So they just mad at your order? At the order? That's all they're mad at?
They're mad that
they're mad that that I'm saying that as of right now, with my PlayStation games of like 3, I played Final Fantasy 7, I played 10, and I played Bloodborne, which I'm sorry, everyone in the chat, Bloodborne kind of trash.
Oh,
no.
Chris Coleman's coming for you.
No.
Lord Sam, yo, Lord Sam, we have to
The debate is so strong right now. I'll let that one stand. You warned them I was coming, Lord Cognito, so just throwing the lures out left and right.
There's a lot of besmirching going on.
I want to state something. This is my house, you would guess.
Oh, but we're all tick fail. Bang, bang.
No, it's not that Bloodborne's a bad game. It's just I had to force myself to play. Maybe it's because I had Persona and stuff that I want to play more than it. So it's kind of like making me not want to play it more. But like I literally had to force myself to play that game.
Okay, fair. That is your opinion. This is your assessment. We will let that rock. Shout out to the Lords of the Planet Xbox. I know they will be coming for your neck when they see you in that chat.
I mean, it's whatever. They'll come for my neck all they want in the chat. They won't say it to my face.
Lord Soft, what have you been playing this week?
So this week, let me see. I finished Shadow of the Colossus again. Yeah.
I heard that vehement argument between you and King. I heard that HDR battle.
It wasn't an argument.
It was just a disagreement. That's it.
Yeah, we've been disagreeing for forever.
We'll disagree to the day we die. At certain But yeah, I finally finished it. Got through the Colossi. Yeah, it's just a beautiful game and the best best way to play that game, definitely. So if you haven't played it, play that game. Let me see what else. So
they did have 3 tries at it to make it the best game.
I give them that. And I'm sure in 10 years we'll probably see another remake of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be live action with real people next.
Yeah, by that time. Absolutely. So what else? I played Celeste. That game is devious, man. That game is devious. To me, in terms of platforming this year, it's gonna be hard to beat.
I need something
really hard to beat.
What'd you say, Lord Addict? What'd you say? I heard Celeste rumbling. What'd you say?
I apologize. I thought I was muted.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay. You can mumble under your breath again. Lord,
and then Bayonetta 2. Picked that up for the Switch. Man, I missed it on the Wii U. I had fallen off my Wii U by the time it came out.
Yeah, I got it for the Wii U.
See it on the Switch, it runs beautifully, especially in handheld mode. It's still kind of, once you dock it, it's 720p across the board. So once you dock it, even with TVs that do good upscaling, it's still a little muddy, not pretty. I'd rather it handheld, but it's a beautiful game to have on the go.
No doubt. Shout out to Lord Brap in the chat. Good to see you, baby. That's what's up. What's up? Lord King, what have you been playing?
I've been playing nothing but PUBG. Yo, my PUBG wolves, let me hear you howl, baby. They all in this chat right now. I'm going to tell you, the team is so thorough that they hit me up on social media like it was good with them guns.
Yeah, I see you and Brap going at it. Shout out to Monkey Punch. I see all y'all getting
listen, the whole squad is here. You got Singer, you got Brap, you got Monkey Punch.
Word.
That's my dude. Everybody, I have such a legion. Team is crazy. We have 4 or 5 groups running inside the chat. But the best feeling was yesterday. Shout out to Spineless Sinister, who was with me. We floated down, and as we're landing, we see one dude. I said, Sinister, let's get him. He's like, let's go. So we land. I'm duffing dude out. Dude runs in the house. He goes, he grabs a gun over the table. So I try to grab the bullets, but he grabbed the bullets. I'm like, yo, so what? I'm hitting it. He shot me twice in the stomach. Sinister runs in the house. He shoots Sinister. Sinister says, I'm 1 shot away. I said, I'm 1 shot away too. Let's just duff him out. Yeah. So I chase the dude up the steps, and I'm hitting him in the face. He runs and grabs a crowbar. At that moment in time, I turn around and said, where's Sinister? Sinister left me fighting dude by myself. So I looked at the window and I dove out the window. Boom! I run down the block. I run down the bar. Dude's he loaded his gun. He's shooting at me. I'm hopping. I'm jumping. I'm running. I ran inside the house. I grabbed some bandages. I rolled myself up. I'm like, Sinister, how the hell you left me? I was one shot away. He's a whole town away from me. Yo. So I grab a book bag, I load up, I get my helmet on, I get my guns right. I said, I'm going to go hunt this dude. This dude has to die because he made me run in the midst of battle. Right? That can't happen. You ain't going to chase me out of my barn. That was my barn. So Sinister's in the next town and he gets murdered. I said, good for you. Good for you. Because you left me in the middle of a jumping.
No.
Yes.
Sinister, that Lord
turned tail. Yes, the merc. The merc with the mouth left me in the middle of a battle. And the king actually went back and got Duke and took care of his business.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to the PUBG,
I can't stop.
Crew.
I can't
I
stop.
see y'all getting it in. Shout out to Lord Sam. Aren't you and Anchorman and these guys? Don't you guys get that? You got your little PUBG multiverse slash squad
we do.
going?
We do. Me, Anchor, Undead, Mike every now and again. Oh, we get it on. We do well. We rack up some chicken.
Yeah, I see it, man. I shout out my first chicken dinner. As much as I've besmirched Anchorman's name on the show today, Anchorman was part of that team. It was Anchorman Sin, who did run on certain parts.
Anchorman was part of the team, but Sin and John did all the work.
Yeah, man. I see. I still, you know what, Lord Addict, man, you ain't gonna get a chance to rock yet. So that's gonna be interesting. We got to do that. I think. Who else? Boy Jansen. Who's your squad? You usually run with Jansen and who else?
I don't play PUBG right now.
But when you did. Who did you run with? You remember?
It was usually Sinister, John, and
oh yeah, John. Shout out to Big Bad John. Oh, shout out to Whiskey and Monkey. Remember we had a good one, Lord King?
Yes.
That was fun.
Whiskey was with us. We indoctrinated him into it because he didn't understand how addictive this game was. Absolutely. And I said, being that you're ex-military, you're going to get the feeling of it.
And literally was the first 5 minutes. Yeah, he was so.
Yes. I think we got a chicken dinner too.
Yeah. Oh, that's what's up.
We got a chicken dinner too.
Yeah, man. So for me, it's like I said, I was away, but when I came back, I dove into a little bit of Crimson Days and Destiny. Shout out to my man Lord Ebontis and Forget Amnesia. We did a flashpoint talking about all the changes. It was a big article that Doc Amnesia put out. Please check that out if you guys got a chance. It's on the Iron Lord Podcast YouTube channel, flashpoint number 4. So we were talking about all the changes. He actually went pretty viral, man, in Destiny Legary, and a lot of the Destiny community gave us a shout for that passionate article that was written. So I did that. I obviously played PUBG with the crew, you know what I mean? And finally, you got to give me a round of applause, y'all. I have finished This Is the Police for the Switch.
Oh,
3 months. That game is long, but man, did I love it. Oh, man, such a crazy ride.
Was it worth it?
You know what? It was. It was, because what it built to, I didn't see coming without, giving out spoilers. There's just something that is very dramatic that you have to make kind of like a Mass Effect style decision towards the end. And then based on what you choose, you got some different outcomes and stuff like that. So apparently there's like levels of endings and, that whole bit of trend. Now, I will say, just like Mass Effect, I don't know if the actual ending itself was worth it. You know what I'm saying? But what it led up to was fantastic. I am looking forward to THQ Nordics Part 2.
I have a shout out to do.
Well, put that shout going, baby. Get that shout going. What you got?
Shout out to Anchorman for this dope thumbnail.
Woo! Oh, yeah. The thumbnail was lit. But I still have to challenge him on his MCU. But and also I've been playing. Picked up on a whim, Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Ooh,
I knew you was gonna get that because the King's failed.
You know what?
King's failed. I knew you was gonna get it.
Lord King knows me well. Lord King knows I used to be a fiend for Kingsfield.
We found that game in the dark. Me and him, I remember how we did it. We chipped in. He chipped in half. I chipped in half. So we sat in the dark and we played this game. And it was a first person. It was, I guess it felt like the first Skyrim to us.
Yes, it was like our first open world Skyrim where there's no direction, nothing really telling you what to do. Yeah. And you can go anywhere you want to go,
And we were picking up things and we saw skeletons and we were like, oh my God, it's amazing.
That was my first one.
Yeah, so when I saw it, it automatically harkened back to it, and I knew you was gonna get it, and I was gonna ask you what was gonna be, because I was hoping that you played it now, because I saw Anchor had the dev on his on the Multiverse, and I really wanted to listen to that podcast. I'd be catching up between everybody's podcasts, but he had one podcast that was
let me give some shout outs too. Shout out to Multiverse. Obviously, please check that. Shout out to Short Pause Gaming, my boy Lord Dude. We're gonna get him on soon. He had a great interview, I believe, with the community manager as well. They asked some real good questions about it. And also shout out to NLG. They're gonna have something going on tonight. Please check them out. Again, Kingdom Come Deliverance. I'm kind of championing the game. Look, I'll say this about it. It is so ambitious. It's like a realistic Skyrim. You're talking about open world, but you're talking about you got to eat, you got to sleep, you can get drunk, you can overeat, you know what I'm saying? It's just so many factors to it. And now I will admit there is some jank. There is some jank. There's some issues. There's some, there's bugs. I believe this was, correct me if I'm wrong, Lord Sam, I believe this was initially like a Kickstarter crowd-funded game for years, right?
For many years, yes. I believe began back in 2013. I'll have to look that up to verify, but I've been following it for some time. I remember back, the Kickstarter was announced years ago. It's been in development for a long time. Very ambitious.
Oh, very ambitious. It's really ambitious. And the combat, like I said, it's going to take a while to get used to. It kind of reminds me, and shout out to Lord Piccolo, short pause. It kind of reminds me of a Bushido Blade style. Lord Piccolo. We're going to have him
on. We will never leave you behind, Piccolo.
John told me that it's very one of those games where if you don't think you can take him, you can't take him.
Yeah, man. It's you can also fight multiple people at once, which is what I like. You know what I'm saying? Because in the beginning is a scene, and it's like you and your little cohort friends, and you're up to mischievous stuff because they're trying to like guide you in the beginning. You can only do certain things, and they're like, "Yeah, let's go ransack and do some mischievous stuff to some person's house," and then it's like the dudes come and see you ransacking the house, and it's like it's your crew of 3 and their crew, and it's like, let's get it on. And then y'all fist fighting it out in the streets, Lord King. And it's like, but you can pilot your man. Like if your man get jumped, like, oh no, you're not gonna jump my man. I'm gonna hit you from behind. Like it's funny. And it's like it's a lot of complexity to it. I will say the combat may not be for everyone. It's one of those things that you could tell it if you master it, it could be real fun. So shout out to Kingdom Come Deliverance. Xbox One X, I believe, is the best version. Now, Digital Foundry just did something, I think 1400p. The rest are like 1080p on our stuff. The smoothest textures. We're still waiting for that day one patch to get the jank out because there's a lot of jank. But Kingdom Come, and also I want to give one last shout out to Lord Dealer and the RDX crew, because if it wasn't for Dealer, who actually was the first person I seen tweet about the game, I wouldn't have known about it, and that's what kind of led me into it. And of course, we're the Iron Lord podcast, so it's Lords in this. It's you already know. No doubt. So we're gonna get into these topics. You know what I'm saying? And but first, I got apologies last week for the poll not going up. As you guys know, I was in London.
It was a garbage poll anyway.
Like that. But the Lords of London internet were not cooperating for me to do anything or view anything from YouTube, so I could not put the poll. But we're gonna have a new poll cooking up, this week at the end of the show. So stay tuned. So we're gonna get into these topics. So actually, I'm gonna start off in place for Lord Addict because I know he jumped in late. But some announcements going on. We got the 1440p announcement for, I believe, Xbox One X and all that other stuff. But I actually want to start off with Metroid Prime. All right. You know what I'm saying? Metroid Prime 4 rumors are abound. So first off, we know that we did hear that obviously that Namco whatever. I always pronounce it. But Bandai Namco, excuse me. That we heard that they were announced that they will be working with Metroid Prime 4, and that was the first kind of hint we heard about it. But then some new stuff came out, and it seemed to be confirmed by Eurogamer. It looks like they're updated their post confirming it, the development by Namco, but then they said that the studio was going to be moved from Singapore to Japan's studio. And then shout out to Doc Trey, the YouTuber Doc Trey, I believe Lord Addict knows him as well, that he actually started doing some LinkedIn digging, and it looks like they're definitely going to have like a senior online programmer. And this programmer is also the lead online programmer for Ace Combat 7. So there's some suspicions now going on that Metroid Prime 4 is going to have an online component. So I want to bring this to the Lords. Obviously, we heard about the Namco thing. We heard about also in this whole LinkedIn digging, we heard about Ridge Racer 8 being exclusive to Switch because he's also supposedly working on that. So I want to bring this to the Lords. We'll start off with Lord Sam first. What do you think about all of this? What do you think about Metroid Prime 4 possibly having an online component for the Switch?
Okay, so Metroid Prime 4 having an online component, it makes perfect sense. I think it's very realistic, and honestly, it lends those rumors even more credence. Here's why. Nintendo recently, a few weeks back, I think it was about a month and a half, reiterated that their plan, their strategy moving forward was to adopt games as a service. Even Nintendo is recognizing that games need to have more replayability. They need to have more content. They need to support fewer games for a longer period of time. So adding in an online support for Metroid Prime 4 while their online service is supposed to launch this year as well, it makes perfect sense. You get more people playing, people who would have enjoyed what is obviously going to be a fantastic campaign just a couple of times. Now they have a reason to continue playing. They can pressure their friends like, hey, come on, we can play this together. This is going to be awesome. It makes perfect sense. It fits with their strategy, and it fits with the current climate of gaming as a whole. Facts,
absolutely. Lord Addict, what do you? I don't know how your feelings are on Metroid series. I never got a chance to talk to you. How do you feel about the Metroid series and Prime 4 being announced? Yeah, into Lord Sleep again.
No, what? Sorry, I was muted.
I thought Lord Sleep returned.
No, I'm here.
Okay. Metroid Prime 4. I never asked you like how you felt about like the Metroid series in general, and like not when you heard about the announcement for 4, and now there's possibility of an online component in Metroid Prime. So, what do you feel about all this?
Well, first thing, before I even go into this, is King, you can't talk for this whole segment because I know you're going to talk, and I don't feel like hearing it. I didn't really play any of the older ones because I was too young. I started with Metroid Prime. King, shut up.
The young boy.
I'll try Metroid Prime 4. I mean, it's these days, like, there's very few of Nintendo's IPs that I actually mess with these days.
Yeah, I could tell you've cooled on your Switch. Like, you've cooled big time. I can tell. All right. I see where you at with it. Lord Solve, Lord King, what you guys feel about these new ones?
Why would you think I would talk during your segment? That was really random. But I understood that if you came in on playing any Metroid game, it would be Prime. So of course, your perspective on the series would be a little bit different than mine. I started when it was, the 2D, find everything, open up this segment to get to that segment type of thing, backtracking game. And when they went to the Prime format, which was still backtracking, it was still a great game, the first person stuff.
Sorry, the chat is regurgitate Lord Sleep is bad. I'm sorry. It was funny. I haven't seen Lord Sleep in a while. It was just bad funny.
They're terrible. But I want to see Prime. I want to see what Evolution is going to be, because that crap that they released on the 3DS, the wetting of the bed that they put out there, where
Federation Force.
Yeah, just take that. No, I'm not. But I understood it was a test ground for their multiplayer. What Nintendo does is sometimes they'll throw out a random game with a good name on top of it to see if it sticks. That's one of the games that you will forget about. Sometimes the games hit, like the Zelda Cross Swords. Remember that? Like, it's 4 Zeldas running around on screen. So that was kind of weird, but they tried to do it again with the Metroid type of thing. And they just wanted to see what works and what they can push going forward. Like Lord Sam said, it's games as a service. Nintendo understands, and they see people making money over a long period of time off of one product. And what Nintendo's never did was drop the price of their games. But now they can implement parts in their games with DLC that can get more money and more value out of games. I think Nintendo sees that. They're going for that, and they're going to probably do it better than everyone else, being that their system is on dual format.
No doubt. Shout out to Chris Colbert. He is going so hard on Lord Addict right now. He said, yeah, he lost sleep, but he awake on Planet X.
Wow. Wow.
They coming for you, Lord Addict. Oh, man, they coming for you. Little salty,
Why don't you come address me on Planet X?
Oh, the young one. No doubt. So, in general, was it Lord Soft? Did you chime in on this?
No. I mean, King pretty much took the words out of my mouth there. I think, that Federation Force was a test bed for this sort of stuff. Even back in the day on the DS, Metroid Prime Hunters, it's something I think when you talk about games as a service, Prime is that series that's perfect for it. It's a first-person shooter. You can create a lot of content around that and keep people coming back besides a single-player campaign. I think Metroid, it's a perfect opportunity for them to take Metroid and elevate it to the level that a lot of people see it at, but it's not really at, in terms of the public consciousness. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with it, and adding online is an obvious choice. And what's interesting is that, I mean, they've made statements indicating that what they're going to do with their online in general is going to blow you away. So I don't know Nintendo to be hyperbolic about stuff and make statements like that. So I'm interested to see what it is that they're doing with their service and how that specifically is going to apply to Metroid Prime 4. Should be.
Yeah, I mean, I want to jump in too. I mean, this is kind of interesting. It's funny as much as I'm joking with Lord Addict and whatever, but it's just like, oh, shout out to the original LLGs in the chat. Oh man, shout out to Mullis, man, good to see you. It's interesting because I'm kind of, as much as I'm clouding Lord Addict a little bit, I'm in the same boat because my Nintendo history with Metroid is not that deep. Like I've played them, obviously a couple, but I've never really got like in depth. So when I heard about this, and then I feel about this way, I feel, Lord Solve, like I feel like the only thing lacking as far as genres for Nintendo is FPS. Now, obviously, we know Doom came out. We know Wolfenstein. God bless their souls, how they going to do that port. You know what I'm saying? But I shut up, little kid. So it's like, I always feel like that's the only thing. And, let's be honest, like for the Xbox, there's a lot of hardcore FPS. That's a big thing. So I think that genre definitely needs to be addressed. So
I heard they were supposed to have a labo function. You're supposed to put the backpack of the cardboard on and put it around your head to be the VR cardboard.
I wouldn't put it past them.
I mean, you know what's funny? I wouldn't put it past them, and I wouldn't put it past the fact that it would be successful.
It's gonna come with a free labo.
The thing about Prime is that when you look at the campaign isn't your standard FPS. Your campaign is very much a standard Metroid game in first-person format. So it doesn't lend itself to like sort of multiplayer stuff. So anything multiplayer in terms of PvP would have to be something more in the vein of a regular FPS, and that's what brings people back in, right? So I think that's my thinking. Like whatever multiplayer is, it's going to be more in the vein of a traditional FPS, because whatever Metroid Prime is as a campaign is much different to a regular FPS.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's just like, for me, it's one of those things that I'm very curious about this, because let's be honest, like Metroid is also, as great as it is, it's not really the selling franchise for Nintendo, right? About their IPs. It really doesn't do like a Mario or Zelda, so I feel this online component could be pretty huge, because you're giving longevity to the game, Right. So I'm very curious to see how they attack it. And then on a side note, I definitely am curious about the Namco involvement. This guy obviously he's done Ace Combat before. See how that goes. And we haven't really got into this. What do the Lords feel about this Ridge Racer 8 exclusive to Switch stuff? Like,
where the Lords with this? Right left.
Yeah, talk to me, Lord Sam. Where you at with that?
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea where I'm at with that. I really, really don't know what to say, meme potential aside.
Yeah.
Let's just wait and see what happens. There's not really as much evidence, not as much smoke for a good fire going there, but who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened, so let's just hold back.
I hear you. I'm curious for Lord King, because I know Lord King, me and you, in our early PlayStation days, Ridge Racer was that deal. Remember when Ridge Racer was that deal?
But it's not that deal anymore. So the fact that it latches onto a console that can revitalize it and name, because I think Need for Speed revitalize its name by coming out with different iterations of it, like, you know, just different ways to play it, and they got a little pocket that they're in now. Ridge Racer needs that same pocket on the go. Can it be the best racing game on the go? Yeah, that'd be crazy, right? That feeling of Ridge Racer is back. You know what I'm afraid of? It'll probably be Ridge Racer HDR remix. And you know, this time it'll have tires. Remember when we found out it didn't have tires?
Oh my god!
It was just a spinning texture.
It was crazy. It was the most bizarre thing that we saw on the PlayStation 2. And we shout out to Lord Rick who's passed away, but he showed me that the car didn't have any wheels. That
which version was this?
That was the Ridge Racer 2 for the PlayStation 2. Ridge Racer, whatever version came out for the PlayStation 2. Now, when you play the game and you're in the car mode, right, the car bumper is so close on the screen that you don't see the tires. But if you angle it in a position, you can notice that there's no back tires to that car. So, I mean, it was a polygon that they felt that they didn't need to put in. But hopefully... this Switch one will harken back to those days and bring back those memories.
Show the Lord Stigger doing the voice. Ridge Racer. Oh man, that brings back memory. I mean, it's just funny because I guess I've fallen off so much off of Ridge Racer due to Forza. We all know Forza is for the most part the king. And you better get it in the chat, Lord King. Lord Sinister is there. He's defending his PUBG honor.
I don't know what he's talking about because I have people, actual factual people that was there that can. Singer could sit there and defend me himself. Singer heard the whole thing. Singer was in the party with us. Singer was there when me and Sinister landed together. We landed together, and he tucked tail, turned yellow belly, and ran on the king, man. We was duffing one person out. It wasn't like we were in a battle of four. It was us two against four. No, man. It was a jumping. We were jumping someone. He got punched in the mouth and shot in the belly and said, "I'm out of here, king. Do it yourself." No, man. The king had to really G.I. Joe the moment.
Get you on the show soon to defend yourself because when you do have a history of jumping ahead of people.
Leave him alone. He can't defend that. I had to dive out a window and go get my life together while he got murdered. So that's it.
Back to Ridge Racer. What I was gonna say was that the only thing is like I remember when it used to be Lord Soft like a graphical showcase title.
It
like
was.
when the PlayStation came out, when the Vita came out, Ridge Racer was the title you put on. And you was like, yes, this is graphical good. It was arcade style. It had the drifts, but it was always that graphical kind of goodness. You know,
it was one of the first games that was improved upon the arcade board with the PS1. It was better at home, and it was the showpiece. Apart from like Toshinden, it was the showpiece for the PS1. I mean, to kind of echo what King said, I had mentioned this to you before, Cognito, that it's like, to me, the Switch is the perfect test bed for dormant franchises to make a comeback. And Ridge Racer is perfect for that. I mean, for any third-party developer, right, that doesn't, whose current slate will not be able to fit on the Switch, for power reasons or whatnot, and it has franchises that are dormant, but they know they want to put something onto the Switch and not just make it a port. It's ideal for these franchises that haven't been used for a bunch of years to see where it goes. And Ridge Racer, there was nothing wrong with Ridge Racer apart from the fact that the field became so crowded that there was no place for it. But on the Switch, by itself, why not?
No doubt. Yeah, man. I mean, I hear what the Lords are saying. It's going to be interesting to see how it does. Back to Metroid. I'm very excited about this online component. Even if they just do like some type of I don't know, what is it, 6v6, 30 frames. I'm good with the 30, as long as it has some deep mechanics and, just to keep that game alive. And I think, like you said, Lord Saul, like keep like game as a service doing something. I think this is strategic for what you call it specifically, for Metroid specifically, because they have to do something to kind of reinvigorate that from a sales perspective. It needs to sell more, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So yeah, man, that's what I got on Metroid Prime 4. Anything else for the Lords before we move on? All right. So we're gonna go on to the next topic. We got the Xbox One just made an announcement. I know Tick Podcast actually went into it, so we talk about this briefly. The 1440 support is going to come very soon. It's in the preview program right now, so people with the 1440p monitors can get some love. They don't have to get the down sampling. And then the second thing I wanted to bring to the table was Unreal Engine. There's been some controversy in these streets with Unreal Engine. Exhibit A will be, I believe there's a developer, it goes by the name, Italian developer Milestone. They're coming out with kind of like a rally racing style game. It's called Gravel. And I believe it's coming to all platforms, Xbox One, Xbox One X. And this is using the Unreal Engine. Now, one of the surprising things that the dev made was that they were asked, will HDR support, be on, all the platforms? And he said, yes, it will be supported on PC and PS4 Pro only. So at that point, they were asked again, like, can you explain why HDR won't be available on Microsoft's console? So their answer was that when the dev started, that the Unreal 4 didn't support HDR on the platform yet. And that's the reason behind the absence. So that's Exhibit A. Exhibit B, and shout out to Lord Kaibatsu. We have been on Harada. We've been on his bumper. We've been on his neck about Tekken 7 and when the Xbox One enhance will come. Because as we know, the PS4 Pro does have an enhancement. I believe it gets it up to about 1080p. So correct me if I'm wrong, Lord Sam. I'm not sure, but I don't believe it's 4K on PS4 Pro.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not, right? So so basically Harada, for the first time after radio silence and tweets after tweets about what's going on with Tekken 7, as we all know, it used the Unreal Engine. And he said basically that it will require a hefty update, due to the new hardware inside the Xbox One X and the way memory is accessed. He said the spec is enough because obviously Tekken 7 is 4K compatible with Steam, but he said again it requires a significant update to the Unreal Engine, and there is no plans for Tekken 7 Xbox One X enhancements on the radar right now. So I want to bring this to the Lords. Obviously, we know about the 1440p stuff, but I really want to also dig in on this Unreal Engine situation. And what do we feel about, whether it's the dev or whether it's the Xbox One X, about this whole thing with having to optimize games on it? Let's start with Lord Sam, our guest.
Okay, so obviously it's not going to be the exact same scenario no matter what it is. The reason Unreal Engine is so incredibly popular, aside from the fact that it's very open source, you can modify a lot, is because, again, the fact that it's so open source. You can modify the bejesus out of that thing. That's why it's so popular, particularly for third-party games and third-person games. Very easy to use engine, very easy to learn how. It's recommended to beginning programmers alongside Unity. You can do some impressive stuff. I'm going to be careful how I say this. I think it's going to come down to effort. Obviously, it depends on what customizations you've made. Like, okay, I don't know the details of what Tekken 7 is doing, what customized code they've gotten there. Maybe that makes certain things more difficult than others. That's just the way it is. But I will say this. Gears of War 4 is on Unreal Engine 4.
Damn it, you stole my point.
And the Coalition, now granted, the Coalition are wizards of software and hardware.
That is true.
They have some of the best, most talented devs on the planet, in my opinion, when it comes to the technology. Gears of War 4, as far as I'm concerned, is the most optimized game on the planet. Runs like
Lord King will agree with you.
Xbox One incredibly well using the Windows Store.
I'm sitting here smiling behind you. That is the rays of Ra beaming behind you. It's a beautiful moment.
You don't know what you just did with that statement based on ILP 50 that went down. That's all I got to say. Continue.
So Gears of War 4 got an update that lets it run at well over 1080p, 60 FPS, HDR, and not just any HDR, mind you. It had HDR in the beginning with the S, but incredible high-quality HDR, some of the best implementation in any game.
Lord Stan, you got to stop right now because you're really stoking the flame between Lord Saul and Lord King. I implore all the people in the chat, listen to ILP 50 There was a segment between Lord Saul and Lord King versus HDR, and it was Gears of War 4 versus Shadow of the Colossus, and man, it was intense. And Lord Sam is out here stoking the flames.
I'm talking about on
Lord
Xbox.
Sam was
So
hanging,
I'm not, no,
was hanging out with a lot of anchors. I don't know. He might have got some pointers from Anchor.
All right, let's reel it back in.
Yo, time out. He's gonna reel it back, and he's gonna say exactly what I said. The Shadow Colossus is great for them.
We're talking about on the Xbox platform here because that's where the discussion was. Gears of War 4 has incredible HDR implementation. It's an incredibly well optimized game, and it uses Unreal Engine 4. At the same time, the Coalition are some of the most talented devs when it comes to hardware on the planet. So it comes down to the developer and how many resources they're willing to pour into it, whether or not they think it's worth it. That's what it comes down to.
No doubt.
Harada said it. Harada said it that it's going to require a lot of work. He didn't say it's impossible. He didn't say we can't do it. He says it's going to require a lot of work. And then so therein lies, the question: how much work is he willing to put in at this point? They're working on Soul Calibur. They're working on other things so. It's just a matter of whether they think it's worth it to pour the resources into doing this for this particular platform when it's easier to do on the other platform at this point in time. It's the same thing I was saying. Like when this first came out, I'm like, wait a minute. He said HDR isn't available for the platform yet, and I'm like, well, HDR was implemented on Xbox before PlayStation. Period. Like, so what do you mean it wasn't available for the engine? The first taste of HDR that the engine had was on Xbox. Like it doesn't make any sense. To me, it was just like it's a matter. I never want to call anybody lazy.
Right. But absolutely. We want to refrain from that. But is it confusing, isn't it?
It is very confusing because they make it seem like it is this mountain of a technical feat,
right?
And it just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't.
Shout out to Dev in the chat. Correct him if he's wrong. He's saying Fortnite has HDR and that's Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
There's just some confusion I have.
I can tell you what it is.
Oh boy, here we go.
I can tell you what it is.
Illuminati
no, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's you know what they did? They said, all right, let's slap this together. They probably had a couple of developers working on it. They said, let's slap this together. And they thought that it was going to fly under the radar. They was trying to do it like how they moved back in the days. You can't move like that anymore. These dudes are dissecting every last patch, every last DLC, every piece of code. You have people digging through code to look at what was thrown away to say, oh, he didn't do this. They're calling devs out now. So no more of that. And I'm not calling any dev lazy. What I'm trying to tell you is don't put it out if it's not ready. Don't half bake anything if it's not ready, because you will be dragged through these streets, and these guys with these tiki torches and these khakis are not playing. You understand? Like, he turned something that was supposed to be a positive into a complete negative. How would you say that Unreal Engine 4, it's real hard to put the HDR in it? Retard? Now, let me explain one part to you. It's baked into the system. So when you say that and you have other games using Unreal Engine and your game can't, you're looking wrong. You're looking bad. So they shouldn't have baked it. They should have just waited.
Now, mind you, Tekken 7 on Xbox One was undercooked from the beginning.
It was like 720.
It was like 720. It just seemed like the same amount of effort was not put in to get it at least closer up to speed with the PlayStation version. So from the beginning, so at this point, it just seems like and then shout out to Lord Brap, because he sort of echoes what I said, like dev costs. They're looking at it from a business perspective, saying, okay, at this point in the life cycle of the game, right, is it worth it putting this amount of money and resources into it? Who's going to still be playing this game?
But here's the thing, Lord Soft. And this is where I slightly disagree, is because we've all seen, since the Xbox One X has jumped out, right? We've all seen that Digital Foundry is the first to jump on these patches. It's almost free publicity to get an Xbox One X patch, and they do these comparison videos, right? To the point where you got, other devs correcting stuff if anything goes wrong and wasn't optimized right. Shout out to EA and Titanfall. I mean, Respawn. Remember when they had a little snafu? You know what I'm saying? At first, so it's just like I just struggle with the whole idea of like, okay, I'm not saying it's not expensive. You may be absolutely right, Lorsar. Like it could be a dev cost thing, but I just struggle that like by not patching Tekken 7 on Xbox One X, like how does that benefit you? I just don't see it. You know what I mean? As far as like if it was a patch, I could see so much pub coming to it. People, it kind of revitalizes the game. People look like Lord Sam, like he's going back to Witcher right now.
Oh yeah, that was one of those games. You're right.
Exactly. He's going way back. People are digging in the crates on the Xbox One X just to see what a 4K enhancement can be. And my thing is, okay, even if they can't do 4K or 1440p, can we get it to 1080p? I mean, on a PS4 Pro, it's 1080p. Like, can we at least get that? I just feel like, again, I don't want to say lazy. Never want to disrespect the dev, and shout out to the Lord of Computer Science, Lord Salmon here. I will never do that. We're techies, but it just feels odd to me that they look at it like there's wouldn't be a benefit.
You can call it out. It's perfectly acceptable to call out the decision as very odd, in particular when there's other contradictory examples out there.
Exactly. This is so strange to me. Lord Addict, I know you're not the biggest Tekken guy, but like, where are you at as far as this whole thing? As far as Unreal and, devs, as far as the Namco situation and also this game Gravel, I believe that's supposed to be has HDR on PS4, but not on Xbox.
I guess if people want to take pitchforks for them, let them.
You have no bearing on this. You can't not. So what if it was a game
highlighted about a game, but it's gameplay? I'm tired of that.
I understand.
But he's not okay. He's coming from a standpoint where he doesn't have 4K and he doesn't have HDR, so it's not in his wheelhouse to say. Even I really
when we
care
were talking
about
1080p and I had a 1080p TV, I was still the same way. I'm tired of developers looking about more what a game looks like than what it plays like.
No, I understand that about what your priorities, but my question is based on the format of what we've seen so far. We've been seeing like all these titles getting announced that are supposed to be Xbox One X enhanced, right? But for whatever reason, this particular title, when we've seen other examples when, games have been, upgraded, even on PS4 Pro, you don't have any issue on that. You have any stance on that?
I really don't care.
Fair enough. Shout out to Brap in the chat. He's like, yeah, guys, remember it's a small group of gamers going back to patch games. So he's just saying from a resource standpoint, he's saying that might be a factor. Any other lords want to jump in before we move on? All right, everyone's good. All right. So that's what I had on that. And actually, we didn't really talk about what the lords felt about the 1440p monitor functionality added for Xbox One X is in preview program right now.
Anything that they add to give other options, give you more options to any game, I love it. I'm down with it. If more resolution modes is available to help whoever has what to get the best out of their game and their television setup and their audio setup, yes, I'm down with all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, we are going to move on. Lord King, you've been out here in these PUBG streets. What's going on?
All right, so PUBG is doing record numbers, and everybody's playing this game in droves. You have teams, you have everybody's getting on this game. So, and it's in the preview program, and constantly what I receive from people talking to me and tweeting and getting at me, did they patch it up? Did they do this? Did this happen to it? Because maybe they got on the game and they didn't like it was herky jerky in the beginning. Maybe they got on the game, they didn't like the resolution in the beginning. But the game has been constantly evolving week to week with updates like regularly. that's fixing and enhancing the gameplay. They're changing stuff around because they listen to what's working and what's not working. Remember, it's coming from a PC space to a console space. So in doing so, you have to change other things around, tweak other things, because the gameplay is completely different when you're playing against PC and console. Now, my thing is, being that if games are in the preview program, should they have a higher level of transparency to show a roadmap going forward, so the investors and people that are investing in the game can have confidence in the game, that the game is going to move forward at a timely fashion, like different checkpoints. This time we will be here. At this time we should be here. And if they are not at that point, should they be held to a different standard? Because some games go into development and they don't have to go under the scrutiny. But if you put your game out and you're asking for money for your game while it's being developed, shouldn't you be held to a higher standard and a higher level of transparency going forward?
Lord Sam, what do you feel, I guess? Lord Sam disappeared on us. He's muted. All right. Any other Lord
Sam is the new
Lord of Sleep.
We have moved the title. Lord Sam, you want to jump in?
Yeah, definitely. I think any game in a preview program should have a roadmap for people who buy into the game at an early stage, and they should give them an indication of where they want to take the game. Now, in terms of giving them concrete points that they're going to be at specific time frames, I think that's a little tougher. I mean, when you talk about resources and how they use those resources as the money comes in, and team size, stuff like that, as it fluctuates, it's not an easy thing to set goalposts and say we're going to be here at this time, because chances are they're going to disappoint people with that. But I do think a general roadmap for where they want to take the game does wonders to keep people invested in your vision for the game, and be willing to have a willingness to keep giving you money. Because when you look at something like Ark, right, when Ark it initially came out, it had a roadmap for where it was going initially, and then when they announced that they were charging, they had DLC and they wanted you to pay for that in addition to that, right? Some people went up in arms, but at the same time, it was a fork in the road from the initial roadmap that they had. So when they saw what the content was, and when they saw where they wanted to take it, obviously people were miffed at having to pay extra money for it, but at the same time, they understood that they wanted to take it to a place where they felt the players would be happy with the game, or happier with the game. So I think it's in their best interest to give as much of a detailed explanation of what they want to do with that game in the long term and where they want it to be. And I just think it gets people like King, who generally doesn't subscribe to stuff like this, it would get you more invested and more willing to drop that cash on something that's unproven.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, this is a good one. I love this topic by Lord King, because we all get into the whole game preview ethics, so to speak, right? And we're paying for a price for a game that's in preview, but at the same time, what obligation does the dev have to the community to let them know? And I think I'm of the mindset right now where it's like, I feel they kind of have to do, if you're not going to do a roadmap, kind of like shout out to Bungie now, who's finally kind of really implementing that we kind of seeing, okay, this date we're getting this date we're getting that. I think even like a developer blog or on your Twitter feed with the community, you kind of got to keep them up to breast. As I think this is like the community manager's job. Like, he has to get out in front, really say what's going on with this preview program. And that's just where I'm at with it, because here's my thing with PUBG. I love PUBG. My thing is, I'm with Lord King in the sense, like, what's next? What what's going to be the end game. Like, talk to me about things. At least talk to me about future plans for the franchise, for where you want to go with it. Or, you know, hey, we experienced this. And again, it's weird to give Bungie credit right now with all the snafus of Destiny 2. But, you know, when I've been doing these flashpoints with Lord Addict is that this is what they're finally doing. This is what we've been wanting for the longest. Tell us what we're getting, at least if you can't give us a hard and fast commitment date, at least tell us, okay, this is, you know, spring of what we're looking to add this. This is when we're hoping to reach these deadlines or guidelines or stuff like that. So that's what I got. What do the rest of the Lords feel about this?
No, I agree. I mean, even, again, the game I talked about much earlier, Hunt Showdown, which is in a closed testing alpha, it's years away from being completely finished. They still have a roadmap of the features, types of weapons, and all the different stuff they're going to be adding. Now, I love PUBG. Okay, I love it. I play multiple games almost every single day if I can. It's fantastic. If you're with a squad, there's really nothing quite like it. It is in preview. It is, yes. That being said, it behooves the devs, especially after the success they've had, but even if they hadn't been successful, to show players what it is they can look forward to. Like, is this it? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but just be honest and tell us, is this it? Is all we're going to get is new maps, new guns, maybe a couple of new vehicles here and there, but it's going to be the same gameplay loop? Or are you going to be doing something crazy? Are you going to have 5 teams of 20? You know, like a Mad Max setting with dozens of vehicles in an empty desert plain.
That would be me.
Tell us. Just tell us what you're doing. Give us a basic idea. We're not going to put you on a time constraint. That's the entire point of game preview. That's the entire point, is it removes the time obligation. It does not remove the clarity obligation.
Right.
Absolutely. Guys, Sam, I see you want to jump in.
No, real quickly, just on that, the desert map stuff, as it's been seen, like, people have been sort of leaving PUBG from on the PC side because they're not happy with the desert map. The desert map doesn't have enough cover, things like that. I mean, to the point where people are actually removing the INI files from their install so that they automatically get pushed to the island map and don't get pushed to the desert map. So in a way, the PC is serving as a test bed for Xbox preview of what they're going to do. So again, the clarity in the messaging and the roadmap is essential to let people know where you're taking the game. Obviously, it's a map they put in the game. At some point, it's coming to Xbox, but maybe it comes with some adjustments based on what's being seen on the PC side.
Facts.
So it's important.
Yeah, shout out to Lord Brap in the chat. He just dropped a bomb. He's like, you know, what's the incentive for Bluehole to show us an end game or any of these things when people are still buying the game in game preview? So he's attacking that aspect. What do the Lords think about that?
That question answers itself. The fact that people are buying it in droves is the incentive. Yeah, that's the point of game preview. It's a success. Build on that. Be clear. If not, people will move on.
Yo, wait a second. Yo, Anchor, time out. I was going in with Requeno talking about the fight, talking about Sean Porter as an athlete. He's not really a boxer, and then he would KO him. That's answering you, Requeno. But Anchor, you sitting here trying to poach my people, bro? You trying to poach my people? Talk about you be swimming in chicken dinners? You have never soloed no chicken dinner. You have. If your team will ever step on a map where my team exists, we will wipe you off the map. There wouldn't be no dinner for you. You will starve for the week. Don't even talk to my squad. Don't even look at my squad. All right, Death alone will take out your squad. I alone will duff you out with my hands and put my guns in my pockets. So you really need to stop talking to my squad. Talk about join me and get off King Team. Stop that stuff.
He out there trying to poach.
Yeah, poaching my squad. And you know what they said, right? They looking at you like you crazy. Oh, you're nuts.
I gotta get. Oh my god! I don't know what's going on in these PUBG streets.
And I'm gonna tell you this, Anchor, and this is the gauntlet being thrown down all over your podcast. I'm telling you right now, the day they implement that I can pick who I fight against, I'm fighting against your squad, and we're gonna murder y'all wholesale, and we're gonna Twitch stream it. I'm letting you know it now because you said something before, like, "Oh, you the king of predictions that didn't happen." I predict this. We're gonna murder you wholesale, and I'm gonna kill you first.
He said you the Killmonger. He said Anchorman is the true king of Wakanda.
That's right, and I'm gonna throw you over. You know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because a lot of people didn't see the movie, but you understand how that went. and the movie's gonna go differently if it was me.
Oh my God. There's a lot of savagery going on with Anchorman. Boy, Anchorman getting on all sides today.
My squad is for real, Brad. Man, basement. Let me tell you, man, trust me when I'm telling you this, you don't want none of this smoke. None of it.
We might have to do that. That might have to be a mix. Shout out to Requenia. That might have to be something with PUBG, man.
Smoke, our smoke is real. You don't want none of it.
Oh, Brad.
in the building. the true king of Wakanda, PUBG Wakanda is here.
He ain't the true king of Wakanda. He understand that. Because all I do is. Understand that.
What's going on? You fresh off of seeing Black Panther? What's going on?
I just got out of the theater. I just got home.
My man, that's what's up. I had to let you defend your honor. You've been besmirched throughout this entire podcast, including me. I talked foully. I threw dirt on your name. Who else? Lord King is in here. So we got Black Panther stuff real quick. I know you just saw it. We were not gonna do spoilers, that kind of thing. And then also you can defend your honor with PUBG. The floor is yours, Lord Anchorman.
I have no honor to. I don't have to defend my honor. If you've seen the end of PUBG or not, at the end of Black Panther, you know what happens.
Yeah, you came out looking for the parlay, and I'm not giving none. Understand. That's a rewrite. That's a Bryan Singer rewrite. I will rewrite that right there.
Yo, I love when Anchorman comes in the chat and everyone says language. He's our show. I think it's shout out to your relevant native. Oh my God, he's killing me with the. It's so funny whenever the Lord slip up. And we see Anchorman come in and moderate us, then everyone loves it. So everyone when Anchorman comes in, the theme is language. I love it.
Yo, Anchor, your overall impressions of the movie, just no spoilers, just I know you're gonna save it for your show. Just a little slight impression, how you felt of it. What it ranks, where's that with you? As far as movies or just as far as a superhero movie itself?
As a superhero movie, it's unique enough. Like the overall structure of the movie itself, it's not like anything particularly new, but it has such a unique spin on how the plot is achieved, and just everything. I walked away thinking like characters I didn't think I would enjoy.
Yes,
I walked away thinking like, okay, M'Baku. Loved him.
Yes,
because in the comics he's just some nobody guy, like some like second-rate villain kind of deal, like just to have some like civil tension in Wakanda. But they make his character way more interesting, and they give him a little bit of redemption, and I love that concept. And Daniel Kaluuya again in the most relevant movie of the year, back to back.
Yeah,
It was excellent. I walked away from it and thinking this is entirely relevant, but it didn't feel dated per se. There were a few little things like, okay, I was rewatching all the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies over the last week and a half.
Brad is like spoilers.
Don't worry, Brad. He's not gonna say anything.
This is not spoilers. No. So I was rewatching a lot of the other ones, and a lot of them feel really dated. Like Iron Man 2 feels really dated.
Yeah,
already. Not like just in terms of structure and stuff, but this one feels like it's a more prevalent. Like it feels like it feels like it requires a second viewing.
Yeah,
like I think Thor Ragnarok didn't require a second viewing.
I agree.
There were a lot of the more recent stuff does not require a second viewing per se.
But the Winter Soldier requires a second and third viewing.
Yeah, those movies did. Yeah, those movies did.
Jesus. Disrespecting us.
All right. So now you and poaching. What's up? What's up? You think, do you honestly think if I poach anybody off your squad, they won't leave? If they hang with me, listen, and this is a fact. If they hang with me for one day, it's over. They're never going back to you. My squad is not going to leave me. my jokes is for real. You gotta really understand. Like my jokes is for real. So they will get. I'm totally different. Like y'all hear me in the podcast, and y'all know this is PG.
Yeah. It's a different ILP King on
this
Xbox Live.
Is PG King. When you get in the room and you play with me, add me on Xbox, and I guarantee you, it's a fun fest time. You will not go back to Anchor. Never again.
Sam can vouch for this. Sam's on the squad. Where
I bet you if Sam play with me, he won't be on your squad no more. I can give that. I'll hand that out to Sam. Sam, add me. Come play with me for today, tomorrow, whenever you want, whenever you like. I guarantee you'd be like, yo, Anchor, this is kind of boring. I'm gonna hang out with King. He's
I'll put it this way: our matches are anything but boring.
Anchor does speak the truth there. Our matches are not rote, tired. Oh, let's get this over with.
No, I want
the fun. We bring.
What was the one we were playing last week, or was it? It was on Friday. It was on Friday, and we were playing one match, and this is in the same match. I think about it. I got when I play PUBG, every other match now I get disconnected from the group, so I have to drop it a little bit later, and so I have to make my way back to where the squad is. I don't drop with the rest of the squad. And so I normally make it back. I think I've maybe died twice out of the 100 drops or so, where I don't make it back to the squad. But this last time we were playing, I think we dropped your power plant.
Bare Feet Gang. That's me. Yes.
Yeah, Bare Feet Gang.
Shout out. That's us.
But we ended up doing it, and what was it? I picked up a Jeep, but I didn't have any weapons, and so Sam.
You know, this sounds boring, right?
I
gave a story that was super exciting, and you're just telling me about a Jeep and you wandering back to a nation.
No, I'm getting to it. Let's get to it. So the deal is we're coming back, and so I'm bringing the Jeep over to pick them up, and we're inside the city, and it's real close, real dense, and I can't really maneuver the Jeep around too much. And so I just picked up Undead, and I was about to pick up Sam, I think. And so I see, and there's a guy right there with a AK, and he's like, oh snap! And so Undead jumps out of the Jeep. I jump out of the Jeep. Undead's trying to get position to cover. I run up to him, bare fist, and starts punching him in the face. No weapon, and he's just confused. He's like, what the hell's going on? So I got him kind of weak, but I got knocked down. But the dude was so confused.
So you just told me a story that you hopped out of Jeep bare-fisted and got shot and put on your knees.
No, we killed him.
No, you didn't kill anybody because you was on your knees. This is what you're telling me right now, right? I can give you a scenario. I can give you a scenario when we stole a package and Brap sat there and got the chicken dinner. I can tell you that. I can tell you that story. I can tell you that we actively hunt packages. I can tell you if you see a package, we take a package.
You get the chicken dinner?
Yes, I've gotten chicken dinners. See, the thing is, I get so many chicken dinners, I don't have to sit there and take pictures and post them. I don't. You know why? Because they're just like it's like, oh, chicken dinner. Shout out to Punch, Monkey Punch, Squad MVP. He's in here. He'll tell you. Chicken dinners, we eat well over here. But trust me when I tell you, they will leave your squad to hang with me.
Let me ask you this question. Now, we jumped on the PUBG roadmap topic. So my question to you, because I saw you made a comment about this, that Lord King has to suffer for dropping his morals for the game.
Yeah, I did.
What do you feel about this whole our topic in reference to preview program maybe being more transparent with roadmaps, or should they be mandatory? What's your whole thought process on that?
In general, I think for game preview games, I think having a roadmap is almost required. I think that it does need to have some sort of roadmap. I think a good example is like what's the game? It was showed at E3 2016. It went to game preview. It's still there now, but it's supposed to be getting out of there pretty quickly.
We Happy Few?
We roadmap, and they show pretty regularly, okay, this is what the plan is. I think for a game like that, where it's in there for a long time, and it's about adding more content than anything else, I think, you need to show a roadmap.
Now, my next question
to you, though.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was like, with PUBG, though, I don't really think they require a roadmap because they update it so frequently, and the game already came out of early access on PC. It didn't matter. It came out. And so we know it's coming out on Xbox. It's just about more stability patches and adding that other map. We're done.
Gotcha.
Like we know what's coming.
So your feeling is, as far as a preview program in general, like you with the whole roadmap, but your whole thing is because PUBG has already been released on PC. This is a unique situation. We've already known what's happening over there, that there's no requirement on their end. Even to Lord Brad's point with there's as far as incentive with the fact that they're making so much money and the success of PUBG.
I don't think they're obligated to. When a game's already out on PC, it's already had its full release. You know what the ultimate goal is.
Gotcha.
Like get it to the PC version.
Gotcha.
And if you can do that, you have no need to have your own like officially stated roadmap because it should be apparently clear.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, like if it's a game where it's like, okay, like We Happy Few is the one I normally go to, or The Long Dark, where the game has not come out on any platform yet. It's on early access. I think you do need to have some sort of roadmap.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. So anybody got anything left on the whole PUBG situation and the whose clan is better and all the sort of stuff? Now, what I would like is, since it's on Xbox and everybody's got the squad, because we all know squad is so much fun. Like squad is
squad is where it's at.
Squad is where it's at. I totally agree, Lord saying. Like, I would love them to have for the Xbox, like really utilize, the Azure and the cloud servers and be able to either host or get your own, squads versus squad. Or just private server, so we can just all be part of that 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost like a 1 versus 100 PUBG.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. Let's make that. That's a strength of the platform. Let's utilize it. And I really hope with the success of this game, because it's so much fun. I watch Lord King all the time. I jump in there with you guys as much as I can. I see the crew. Lord Anchor, I've run with you as well. I see the crew. I see the fun. And how fun would it be? Would be like the entire Tick network. You know what I mean? Inside PUBG versus whatever. Like it would just be so. I think the potential of this game is so great. And I also just want end game stuff. No disrespect, having a mock neck shirt and shoes. It's nice. But like just something else from an end game perspective to keep you also coming back, because it is so addictive.
Well, we got loot crates. You get your loot crates.
Yeah, but I just want, more than cosmetic something. I just want to see how they implement that. You know what I mean? Because we know Battle Royale is fun and it's addicting. I just also want, like, I don't know, maybe some prestige kind of things to reward the people like you guys.
They will always have to be cosmetic, though, regardless to what. You can't even start a match with something that gives you any form of advantage because it takes away from the whole of the game. The purity of the game, the only reason why I play this over Fortnite, and this is the only reason why, at its super base level, it's in its purest form. The purest form is the fright of when you look over and you're falling out of the sky with your backpack and the guy opens his chute next to you. Now, you say to yourself, am I going to run from this dude or am I going to confront this dude? And he's saying the same thing. And in that raw nature of it, that's where the complexity lies, because you have the fight or flight moment, and that's where the game is at its best. And then your team comes into it and your boy comes over and he helps you. Like Anchor said, he got down on his knees, but his team took the dude out. How good did that feel? And you saying, pick me up. Let's go. That felt great. You jumped in the Jeep and you proceeded to go on and get the loot a house. And the camaraderie that you share in this game, I think is the best team building, because you get to learn people's tendencies.
Yes.
Like get in the tub.
Yo, shout out to Lord Sinister for brainwashing Lord Big Bad John. Get in the tub. What's going on? There's exploding. Just get the tub. Just take off all your gear now.
You know, if you come across a 4x scope and a sniper, who's the best sniper on your squad? Amen. You know who's the best rummager who will go out and clear out of town and let you know who's the scout, who's the rogue. So you also know who coordinates things, or who's looking at the map and who's looking at the time. You get to a point where y'all are a well-oiled machine. You're functioning at a level that it's beautiful. And then when they all come together and you get the chicken dinner, oh man, you just walk off the game and you like, woof, So yeah, I'm at a point with this game that I haven't been with a lot of games that is preventing me from playing games.
Yeah, that's what Lord Rand is saying. Lord Rand is saying the same thing. It's so addicting. It really is. And what I like about it, it's like quick bursts. You could just get in, you keep going. And even if you like I said, when we played this week with Lord Monkey, Lord Whiskey week, Lord Whiskey played for the first time. And it just dying. I heard him laughing so hard. It's just like, yo, that was wild, funny. What happened?
And he played with me for the whole rest of the day.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, yeah, we all got excited about PUBG. So we're gonna move on to our last topic, Lord.
All right, guys. Well, have a good time.
No doubt. Thanks for
later, Anchor. Yo, Anchor. I want to talk to you later about Black Panther. So me and you'll talk on the Xbox.
Yo, that multiverse better be lit, and them top 5s better get corrected tomorrow. Peace out, Anchor, man. Love you, bro. All right, Lord Solve, you are up. What is going on with the fighting game genre? Talk to us.
Yeah, so my topic is actually a topic that I poached from King from last week. King was he was gonna bring it up. He was gonna bring it up, and then he changed his mind and brought up the Google Yeti. But and then the funny thing is when he brought it up, I didn't really see anything to it. I said, "Wow, why is he mentioning this? This is kind of news to me." And like in the subsequent week, though, like more stuff has come out that it kind of makes you wonder, like, what is going on with the fighting game genre? So this is the thing with me. I want to know from you guys, what do you think fighting games have to do at this point in time in order to stay relevant throughout the market? Not necessarily to the hardcore. The hardcore is going to stick to the fighting game genre. The fighting game genre is niche, but at the same time, you still have your hardcore that are there. But at the same time, when you see different models now, especially like with the news that For Honor is continuing to thrive after a lot of us thought that game was dead. They're on season 5 of content, and they have a number of players playing that game. And then when you look at
the true fighter,
but the one-on-one aspect is the star of that game, though, right? Besides,
but it's an engagement game.
True.
You can choose to engage or not engage, and you can engage where you feel like you're at an advantage type of engagement.
Well, that's part of my question, though. That's part of my question. Do you think a traditional fighting game has to do that sort of stuff to stay relevant, especially amongst people that are not the hardcore? Does it need that sort of like, that sort of grindy sort of loot thing that these games have in order to stay relevant with people that are not hardcore fighters? And I say that because like some of the stuff that King was going to bring to the table with Dragon Ball Z fighters kind of losing 80% of his player base on the PC, right? And there could be varying reasons for that. The recent news with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, where it was omitted from the Capcom World Championship Tour. It's omitted from Evo. And the word is that it's going to be removed from digital marketplaces by October. So, the game is essentially an unqualified flop. Especially for that series of games and how well they've done in the past. And then again, and in contrast, you look at For Honor, a game that people thought it had a nice little push at the beginning. It sort of fell off, and they just keep supporting it. Right, like I said, they're on season 5 of content, and the player base just keeps growing. So what do you think has to be done with fighting games in this day and age to continue to keep them relevant? And
this is good. This is a good question.
I will let somebody else jump in first because I had information privy. That's why I was bringing up the topic. I had the information on the 80%. I had the information on the Evo. I had all the information on the fighting genre within itself on a super decline. It has actually dropped 50%. From previous years. So that's the only reason why I was bringing the topic up, and being that it was near and dear to us Iron Lords, our heart, because that was our crux of Saturdays.
That's our foundation.
With you.
Fighting games are our foundation.
I would like other people to go first because I have 2 examples of what's a complete failure.
Absolutely. Okay. Lord Sam, jump in, bro.
All right, so very quickly, I think personally that there's a few little tweaks that can be made here or there, but ultimately for fighting games, it comes down to the same 3 words: content, content, content.
Thanks.
Accessibility is a factor. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people are sometimes put off by fighting games because they're afraid to jump in. But really, even more than that, it comes down to how much content is being added. That's why For Honor is a very relevant example, because that game has stayed strong. It has over 1 million unique players on all 3 platforms every single month. Because they keep on adding more content. They keep on having more seasons, more characters, more maps, all this different stuff that they add. Another big success story is Killer Instinct. That's been a very, very big success. Started off a little slow. Don't get me wrong. It had some quibbles and weebles and all that in the beginning, but they added content. They added characters. They added the Shadow Lords mode, then the story modes, and all this other stuff. I believe it's had over 9 million, 10 million players, something like that. It's still going strong. So conversely, look at the games that aren't going strong. They don't have a clear roadmap of what content's going to be added. They don't have a lot of stuff, for people to do at launch.
Good point.
That's where they're suffering.
Not to cut you, you're nailing it, Lord Sam, because look at what's going on with Injustice, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got people going crazy right now. At least what I see. I don't know how the sales numbers are, but I see the level of engagement. I see the level of excitement when they seem to drop this continually great content for the game.
Right, absolutely. I definitely saw way more interest in Injustice 2. I mean, after the initial hype month, obviously, May last year, but after that, the most I've seen anyone talking about Injustice 2 is when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were announced for it, which is fantastic. That gets people talking, that gets people interested again.
Absolutely. Lord King, look like you wanted to attack this thing.
All right. Well, what I've noticed, because when I played Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I thought it was amazing. But what I saw was a severe lack of loved characters, and that goes into the owning of the IPs. When you have omitted X-Men, which had been a staple of Marvel versus Capcom before. When you remove Wolverine and Cyclops and Gambit and certain characters, you take away people that worked and cultivated those characters and built off of those characters and was looking forward to it. So you took away sales. When Disney owns Marvel but don't own Fox, this is where licensees and problems and stuff comes in. That's where that game failed. So had that game had the original roster of characters, everyone that they were able to use, over 50-something characters, X-Men involved and everything, I think the game would have been a lot more successful because the storyline was great. Injustice, this is a way of seeing that they have no problem with getting content and characters and pulling from this place and Hellboy from over here, adding more DC characters like the Atom from over here. Then Teenage Ninja Turtles were a complete surprise. So you was like, I definitely have to get this DLC because I've never seen them in a fighting game that was realistic to this point. Fighting Superman, Ninja Turtles fight Superman.
Did you someone put a screenshot I retweeted? They did a shell shock of all 4 Turtles like smashing Superman.
Yes.
I was like, yo, I was tempted to get the game just off. I was like, yo, that looks crazy.
I played it this week and I did the move and it was great. It's like Lord Sam says, content. And when you give a clear roadmap to what's going to come out, and people can invest in DLC, because DLC is definitely the wave when it comes to fighters. And then when you're building off of the aspect of if your friends have it or if you get online and you're by yourself, is there other things for you to do? Can you build your characters? Can you put armor on your characters? I think Injustice in this day and age has nailed the fighting genre going forward, and I believe that should be the format in the way fighting games are used. Now, he did say For Honor, and I look at them in different aspects. I look at it as a confrontational game because there's other things going around in the world. You can fight stuff over here and then make it over here and control this part of the map. And you can fight this guy and take control of this map. So there's other aspects and more things going on than a traditional fighter.
Sure.
I laughed at it in the beginning because remember it was on rubber legs, and I was calling it the Budokan of fighting games, because in the beginning, before it flushed itself out and it showed that it was able to stand the test of time, it was Budokan. Budokan was nice.
Oh my god, the Budokan out of my
right. We loved Budokan, but it was Budokan.
Oh my
but
god.
It evolved into its own entity now. That's what I'm saying.
So I completely agree with you guys on the content front. Obviously, adding more content and having a roadmap to let people know where you're going with the game is important because it keeps people invested. My thing is that, do you think to continue to have the genre expand and be and opened up to more people that normally wouldn't be in interested in that genre, and in turn expanding the appeal of the genre in general, do you think that they have to start doing something like in the vein of a For Honor, where they create that sort of living environment around the game rather than just like?
It's interesting you said. I'll jump in because I remember like during Tekken's hey, they would have like these modes like a Tekken Force, right? And you would do these kind of quests. Like I even remember Soul Calibur. And they would have that weapons master mode, and you would it felt like a quest game, right? And you would just go on and do these quests, and it just added all these different depths and elements to the game. So I think, that's why I used to love Namco so much, because Namco used to be probably still one of my top devs. It's just that, like, I love the fact that when they put out a fighting game, it wasn't just the fighting game and that was it and you were done. You had all these other modes and things and going on. And I know they didn't subscribe to DLC and stuff at the time, but it just always felt like it added life to the game. So I think Lord Sam's on it. I think it's one of those things that you have to make it a beefier presentation.
Right.
You also have to considerably, like, DLC for fighting games specifically, DLC is very important. Very important. Look at what the Turtles are doing. I look at what, for Injustice, and you look at when they announce like these really cool left field characters, man. It's really, really something that invigorates the franchise. And I think that's the model you got to go. As far as now, are you going like games as a service, Solve? Like where are you also thinking about it?
Yeah, something like that. Honestly, just to, like I said, to expand the player base in such a way that you would attract people to this type of game that you normally wouldn't. Because my thing is this, like, every single platform has its plus and minuses, right? When you look at Dragon Ball Z falling off 80% on PC, my immediate reaction to that, well, on the PC, everything is so infinitely moddable that the hardcore isn't going to stay there, because it's very hard to play something competitively on a platform where there's just so many different changes that can be made to the game at a fundamental level, right? So to me, that makes sense, right? On the console side, I think that's where the competitive core sort of stay, right? Consoles, you don't really have arcades anymore, so the competitive core is going to stay with the consoles. And just to me, it just feels like, okay, those are the guys that are sticking around with the game. Those are the ones that, even regardless of how much DLC you're getting, they're going to continue to play the game because they enjoy the systems of the game, right? But the systems of it as such, with fighting games, like the onboarding process to any fighting game is really uphill. It's very difficult to get somebody not interested in that already to be willing to put the time in to master something like that. I think Dragon Ball Z did a very good job of creating a game that has depth, but on its surface can be enjoyed and played by just mashing buttons, and you see a bunch of cool stuff. I was looking at a game that was released on PS4. The game is called Under Night in Birth EXE Late. It's one of those.
That's a long name.
Yeah, it's a Japanese. It's an anime inspired game, right? But the onboarding it does is kind of cool, because it's a tutorial that takes you through something close to like 180 lessons about the fighting systems within that game, and just generally things that you would need to do to be on board onto any game in the fighting genre. And what it does is interesting, and it'll tell you, like, okay, you did that, you did this move, it was cool, you didn't do it perfectly. You're not quite ready to take on somebody one-on-one. It tells you, like, you suck. You need to keep improving at it. But at the same time, it's holding your hand in the process. So again, it's things that these games need to do to sort of bring people in and keep them from being afraid of the mechanics of a fighting game, right? And way back when I talked about that game Rising Thunder that Seth Killian was developing that kind of got nixed when they got bought out, but it was a game that required very little input, but again had depth in terms of you knowing these characters, what canceled what out. So there was still depth there, but the onboarding process in terms of systems and learning, you know, quarter circle forward, half circle forward, you know, stuff like that wasn't there. If it was there if you wanted it, but you could just play it very simply. And again, to me, I think the fighting genre, if it wants to expand and not continue to kind of be on this, you know, this slow downward trend, I think it needs to start thinking about how they do that. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Soul Calibur does this year. So we're all hyped for Soul Calibur, right?
Yes, sir.
My man Kilik's back. That's all I need. I don't care what happened for anybody else. I'm selfish. Kilik's back. Looking like Soul Calibur 1 Kilik.
Yeah.
Not the fur on the neck. Not stupid, not using a staff. Like what? Because people forget. Let's all put respect on Kilik name. Lord King No. When we first saw Soul Calibur for Dreamcast or whatever it was, and you saw that kata of him doing that whole staff, that's what made you want Maxi, shout out to Maxi too.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember we had to use the PC in your mom's room? Shout out to your mom. She's the greatest woman that ever walked this earth. Lady
all
right,
the queen.
She is the greatest woman who ever walked this earth. Her level of patience, her zen is second to none. You had a sweaty boys inside her room on her PC downloading this kata, and the kata took like 5 hours or whatever. And the only place we could watch this was on that PC. And Lord Cognito was the most intrusive child ever. And he made sure his friends came through to look at this kata.
It was yo, Lord King, you just took me back. First of all, you gotta break it down. Why did we have to be on PC to do this? I don't even I remember.
I remember,
but I'm trying to remember where the sources that I had to get the download so we can watch a preview of a game. This is like before the internet. Like, what were we doing?
Yes, the internet had just started and we had dial-up, right? Now it came out in Game Pro. Game Pro said that if you follow the link sent you to where Namco was putting up the live, like, because they would show you wireframes of games and stuff like that, but they had the textures in, and it was showing the movements and how fluid the characters was. One of the first characters that was shown was Kilik, because he was so unique to the fighting genre, because he was using a pole staff in such a degree that it was realistic.
And let me ask you one quick question, because I'm my timeline. I'm an old lord now. I'm getting old. My question is, what's the timeline? Was Soul Calibur 1 before Tekken 3? Who did katas first? I'm trying to think who did katas first, because I remember the Harang kata, but I remember the Soul Calibur Kilik kata.
No. The first katas that was ever done was Virtua Fighters.
Yeah,
true. But I mean, like the ones with good motion capture.
No, that was the great motion capture. Remember, those was polygons moving in a realistic manner. So we can't take away from the pioneer, the OG.
We can't take away from the OG.
Because remember when you saw Cage do his ninja kata, we lost our minds. So we can't take it away.
It was not that killing.
No, it wasn't killing.
No, it wasn't that. I mean, Tekken 3 was still PlayStation 1. Remember?
Right.
So,
all right, shout out to Sting in the chat. He's correcting us. We got some OG lords in here. He said he was just about to say, he's correcting me. He said Virtua Fighters 2, and I forgot Virtua Fighters.
There we
2.
go.
Yeah, he's correct, because they kind of had those intro sequences in the You're right. You're absolutely. Yep. Now because remember that the drunken monkey mask.
Yes, when we did the drunken monkey, and then he sat down and he was like,
"Yes, you are correct." Lord Stinger, we're gonna get you on the show. You are definitely respecting what's on your name right now. He said Soul Calibur was 1999. You have to remember it was a launch title for the Dreamcast. I'm just trying to get the timeline between Tekken, because as far as my opinion, the best katas was Kilik, Soul Calibur, and Maxi. And Maxi was lit. because that was the first nunchucks and everything. And then the Tekken 3 katas.
But then Dead or Alive, you're forgetting Dead or Alive with the the most realistic drunken master you have ever seen.
Yes. Yes. So
we had some real stuff.
We had some real stuff. So yeah, shout out to Lady Cog, the Queen, who allowed us to download on my little 14.4 modem or maybe 33.6 AOL dial-up.
I will never forget it because it felt so intrusive, and she was just like, "Go ahead, guys, go ahead and do it," and and I'm like, "Wow, man, that's a great mom."
And we sat in awe watching these.
Yes.
Absolutely. Back to the main point so we can finish up this time.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, from my point of view, it's like I want to continue to see the fighting game genre thrive. I want to see them do some things. I would just shout out to Chief Tom in the chat. We're talking about like a true MK RPG or any RPG with these fighting game characters. Because I mean, again, when it comes to story's kind of nonsensical than a lot of these fighting games. We'd like it to be better. I would like to see, genres expanded a little bit with these characters and not necessarily only be fighting games. But at the same time, within the fighting games, I think it would do great to just expand, things like, the way you get different color shades of costumes in the game, the way you get different costumes in the game.
You're asking for Shenmue.
Yeah, I'm asking.
That's what you're asking for.
That's a good.
You're asking. See, people don't understand the evolution of Shenmue is from Virtua Fighters.
It is.
Like the OG has paved the way for everything.
Right.
I'm saying this because I was completely biased when my game got overrun. Sorry.
Shout out to Chief Tommy. I mean, he mentioned in the chat earlier. He was like, an open world fight game, but in theory, Shenmue was that.
That was that.
Yes.
Shenmue was the first. Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully, it comes out this year. And we'll see. But to see what the evolution. I know. Hopefully. But I heard they got Lord Sam. Correct me if I'm wrong. I heard did they get a new publisher? For Shenmue?
Yes.
Deep
so
Silver
very interesting. Very interesting here. I didn't believe it at first. I was browsing Reset Era and someone brought it up, and I was like, no, surely not. And then I looked up. I was like, oh wow, surely then. Okay, so we got to back things up here. We got to wind the clocks back a couple of years. Right. The Shenmue 3 announcement, E3, Year of Dreams. It came out on stage, Kickstarter. All that. It was incredible, right?
I might have shed a tear. I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man. I might have.
There were people crying in the audience. Yeah. So what happens that's very interesting is Sony merely helped with the funding to an undisclosed amount. They aren't publishing the game. That's something a lot of people don't know.
Right.
Deep Silver acquired somehow. I don't understand how, but Deep Silver actually have the publishing rights for Shenmue 3. Locked in, pen and paper. It's in the contract. But Deep Silver, as we all know, just got picked up by a certain THQ Nordic.
People's baby.
Nordic Games has basically put THQ back together again.
Yes.
Or as close as it ever will be, which is fantastic. THQ was one of the last real AA publishers in the industry. It's great to see THQ Nordic becoming a powerhouse. So it raises the very interesting question, where does that leave Shenmue 3?
Is there a sliver of hope of multi-platform?
Is there a sliver? I don't know.
It's coming. I believe it was coming to multi-platform. I believe that was the whole thing about it.
Honestly, I'm going to agree at this point. I do not think at launch. I don't think there's any way it happens at launch, but I think 6 months, 12 months, 18 months after it comes out, you'll see it making its way to other platforms.
Oh, man, that would be huge. This is a huge nugget that you're dropping, Los Angeles. I would tend to agree.
Based on the fact that these people gave their money in, and it seems like there's other backdoor agreements that was going on that the people wasn't privy to. This Kickstarter thing has to stop.
Shout out to Def Sing in the chat. Shout out to Def Sing in the chat.
Shout out to THQ is definitely reborn. I mean, shout out real quick to Enko. Enko mentioned the game that I championed earlier on this last year.
Talk to me.
Absolver. When you're talking about a fighting open world RPG, Absolver is a game where as you move through the game, the more opponents you fight, you learn their moves. and you take on those moves. And then you have a skill tree that you can set moves up as you see fit. Your favorite moves, you can prioritize certain moves. Like, it's very customizable, and it's it's one of those things. Like, the game itself, aesthetically, is kind of very simple, but at its core, that's what I mean by that replayability, that sort of grindy nature that keeps people coming back to the game. Yeah, that's a great example.
That's a great example. Shout out to Ink on the chat. Also, the last point I want to make too is that I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the Fist of the North Star new trailer.
Oh yeah.
And that got me excited. It looked like it had some long-term elements, and it had a little Shenmue element. I believe he had like a Sega system or a Genesis or a Saturn or something that you can play in the game or something like that. I'm like, yo, shout out to the Lord Jacobus who came on the show, as our fighting game guru. He actually he was very, very hype about it as well. He actually retweeted the Lord's back on it. But yeah, that's definitely one I got my eye on. I've always been a fan of Fist of North Star series. And actually, I had to educate myself because as a Sega kid, I didn't know about it. And I thought Last Battle was I thought Last Battle was the real thing. And really, it was the knockoff. Yeah. That they kind of Americanized Fist of the North Star. So it was just funny to learn, like, oh, these are the real ones. And
we was the phone.
Another thing we haven't talked about in that vein is Yakuza. Yakuza 6 is this year, and it's the same type of thing where it's like you gain moves as you go out through the open world. It's an action. I wouldn't call it an RPG per se, but it is an action game with a lot of RPG elements to it. And
again, it goes back to no Shenmue, no Virtua Fighter, no Yakuza.
Absolutely.
That's the DNA. The DNA is all the way through.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Lord Stig. He's talking about we going in on the last battlefields, man. Arzak. Woo, that was my joy. I remember the music.
That was when you fell in love with the cover art of the box and you thought that was the game, and then when you played
and then you turned it on and you was like, no.
16-bit graphics. Like at that time, no sprites. And remember when he got big and he busted his shirt?
Oh man.
Yo, no, you know what it was? It was when the cartridges said 16 megs.
Yeah.
It's on.
I know said we put him to sleep, but these were like, remember was it when Fantasy Star was the first 6 mega? What was the first 8 mega?
Man, we gotta go with let's go.
It was Strider for the record. It was Strider.
It was Strider. Oh no, listen, no. We can't go no place. Time out.
Let's go.
Yo, check it out, right? Check this out. You gotta check it out because this is probably the funniest story. It is the funniest story that Lord Cognito and I have, right? So Lord Cognito got his money, and at this point in time, Strider was 16. It was 16 megs, right? And it was $80 at Crazy Sounds. He got his money together. $80 back then is a lot of money. So he got his money. He went down to Crazy Sounds and he purchased the game. Unbeknownst to Cognito, I played this game in the arcade all the time, every day, right? He got the cartridge in his house. The second he put his cartridge in, I was like, can I play? He's like, yeah. I ended his game. Right? Listen,
the first day I purchased it, Lord Sam.
I didn't die. I ended his game. I on the first character, first man, ended his game. It was like, all right, I'm out of here. Catch you later.
It was payback because he got me back then. Let's give the context. Because he had Neo Geo and he had Fatal Fury. And that game at its time was extremely hard, right? So I used to pick Andy Bogart and cheese one move. It was
tell him I paid $250 for this cartridge. And he came over to my house and I told him Geese Howard is probably the hardest character ever. I can't beat him.
Geese Howard, who is in Tekken now. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, continue. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Go ahead. He proceeded to cheese him with this stupid ass elbow, and and made my $250 cartridge irrelevant and left my house and said, "Man, you don't gotta walk me halfway home today. I'll catch you tomorrow." Yeah, I slammed my house door in disgust. And I plotted my comeback.
This is why in my house the rule was steadfast.
Yes.
I buy the games, I play them first. Yes. Kaibatsu knew you do not touch that game. You do not remove the shrink wrap from that game. Because I know if he gets his hands on it, it's a wrap. I knew it. No.
Yeah, man. Lord Sam, like it was like a rite of passage back in these eras. Right? You bought these games, 16, but whatever the rule was, you invited your friends over to see the game, but there was unwritten rule that as a friend that is being allowed to see said game, you are not allowed to finish it in that place.
And you're not allowed to say anything negative about the game.
Because remember, that person just spent their hard-earned money. We went to the mom and pop store. We bought the cartridge. We came home. It was more, but especially the rule was the debut of a brand new system. Like someone purchased a brand new system, and they're inviting you over their house to say, "Hey, check out my Atari Jaguar." Check out, the system that may not have been that appealing, but
check out my new Street Fighter Japanese cartridge that I spent $250 on, and he brings some ponytail wearing kid into my establishment who said it's not arcade perfect. I looked over at Lord Cognito and said, "Remove him from my presence now before I kill him."
That was the rule. You couldn't do. Let's say, you just couldn't do. The Lord have we have stories for days.
What about the guy? Who is the guy that kept screaming, "Son Calibur"?
I can't even remember. It's been so long. Oh man, we gonna wrap this thing up, man, because we've been going on. I'm gonna save the Destiny narrative stuff for Flashpoint, because we all know what's going on in Destiny. But we gotta do what you got ILP poll this week, courtesy of Lord Addict. He had to get out of his PC, unfortunately. Definitely crapped out on him, so we gotta give our condolences to Lord Addict's PC. Hopefully he gets his stuff together. But with the successful release of remakes and remasters like Shadow of the Colossus and Last of Us 2, should these types of titles warrant a review? The choices are: A, yes, they should be reviewed again on its own merit. B, no, only review the tech advancements and improvements. Or C, I don't care, I hate all these cash grab remasters. That is the question. Those are the choices. We will put this up, so please rock the vote. Hit the ILP Twitter post tomorrow when it goes up. Lord Sam, absolute pleasure to have the Lord Editor, the Dire Wolf, the Geralt of Rivia at the round table back again. Where can the fine people find you, and what else do you have going on?
Well, first off, thank you for having me on here again. My official debut as part of the Inner Circle Games Network. It was fantastic. We will absolutely have to do it again sometime. We're going to have to hit up some PUBG and other games together. All of us, I think we can all agree. So if you're interested in finding me and following me on Twitter, don't say I didn't warn you, but you can do so at Samuel Tolbert. It's very simple, very easy to find me. And if you're interested in what I write, or you just want to talk in the comment sections of the forums, you can find me on ticgn.com, where I'm either writing something, reviewing something, or playing it so I can then write about it and review it.
Absolutely one of the best young writers in the game. Lord Sam, always editing, correcting my foolish writing. Lord Red is in the chat. Shout out to Lord Red. Oh, man, you came right at the end, man.
What up, Red?
We got to get you back on, Lord Red. Much appreciated. That is my guy right there. Absolutely, Lord Sam, man. Love what you're doing out here. You know what I'm saying? The articles just really, really good. High quality, man. Very, very high quality. Always on the scoops. One of the best young writers. And please check him out. He's now family with the Inner Circle, so we can officially call him brethren. Love it. Lord Saul, where can the fine people find you?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Lord Sam for coming through. It's great to be on a podcast with him finally. Yeah, and then they can find me on, well, not find me, on Xbox.
Offline profile.
I've really been offline, I have to say. BX Sovereign on PSN and Xbox Live, and Lord Sab ILP on Twitter.
No doubt, absolutely. Lord King.
Lord Sam, it's been a pleasure, sir. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to jump on some PUBG. So we all.
This sounds like some PUBG poaching going on. I don't know.
No. You know what?
Lord Anchorman is not here to defend himself.
Listen, no. That's not even. Listen, that's not even a thing. I already know once he hangs out with me, he's not gonna go back. It just doesn't even matter. But I'm about to throw on the slippers. I'm about to get some cognac and put on the robe, and I'm going downstairs and I'm putting on the headset, and I'm going to get into some Merc and Murder. Yes, I will be on some PUBG right now, sir. This is about to happen, so you can catch me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, King David OTW. Hit me up, and definitely hit me up on Xbox. If you haven't added me, add me. Trust me. Please, this is the PG version. We have Iron Lords After Dark, and if you're easily offended, don't add me.
Absolutely, man. I love what you're doing out here, Lord King. You got everybody. Shout out to Monkey Punch. Shout out to what was it, Dead Singer. You've got like a relevant. You've got like a whole PUBG squadron, man. Shout out to Rand if he's still here. Like we were talking about, we would love to have cloud server, Azure, 100 man, everybody from their clans just getting it in, because
we're doing rotations now. We have people waiting. Is the match over so I could jump in? We can switch it up. Yeah, so I really want to get to the point where either the squads get expanded, something happens to the point where I want to run a 16-man team, because I really believe I can pack it with 16 dudes.
Facts, man. Absolutely. Oh, Lord Rand said he here chilling. He said, what's up? Lord Red just said it right now.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Yes. He add me right now. We're about to get it in.
His timeline is real, y'all. He the chicken dinners, he gets it in. So yes, we gotta link up with Lord Rand. Definitely get this PUBG going. But yeah, man, it's Lord Cognito here. The gaming realness was spread. Thanks for the chat was absolutely lit today. Thank you so much for coming. And shout out to the Lords, man. I really missed you. I was in the UK. I'm like chomping at the bit. Anchorman held it down for us, but I'm like, damn, I missed my show.
Yeah.
So it's good to be back. Everyone doing well. You know what I'm saying? So I'll also support the Multiverse tomorrow. Lord Anchorman will be going live. We will correct his top 5 MCU movies. We'll make sure that gets
We're going to correct his opinion.
We're going to correct his opinion. We don't care how he feels. It's how we feel. We want to impose how we feel on him.
I'm going to have to play the peacemaker here. Otherwise, we're going to have the Inner Circle Civil War going.
It's going to be civil. Literally, I already had the visual of the thumbnail. It's going to be the Civil War thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be Iron Lords on one side. It's going to be Multiverse on the other side. And we're going to have to come to an agreement. But shout out to those guys for the entertainment. You know what I mean? Undead, of course, Mike Peter Troth. You know what I'm saying? And the premium Brit, I think he's been going away acting. They are tomorrow at 8 p.m. Also subscribe to the Inner Circle Network. And of course, the Iron Lord podcast, YouTube channel. I've also been doing flashpoints with Lord Ebontis. And shout out to Doc Amnesia, man. The guy broke the internet with the US Gamer article. Please check that out. It's on the Iron Lord podcast YouTube. I got a lot of support from the Destiny community, and just a heartfelt love letter to the people who love Destiny 1 and what we loved about it and why Destiny 2 wasn't that. And again, no bashing, just from a heartfelt positive perspective. So please catch that if you can. And like I said, we're going to get the audio and all that stuff up as soon as possible. Thanks again, everyone, for coming through. Enjoy your Sunday, and we are about to be out of here. Peace.